I reckon Piaget is like the godfather of...
Recording.
Right. So Piaget is like the godfather of psychology, right? And, you know... Piaget. Right. So he's like a behaviouralist. So he has these... He has these... a lot of his theories were kind of based on his observations of his 3 children.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was his... So, you know, so
just
he's...
like Freud about his mum.
Yes. So a lot of his stuff comes from his observations, and a lot of his stuff is... His early stuff is about developmental... you know, the developmental psychology of us, you know. And it's fairly basic when you look at a child and it's born and the things it does, and if you observe that and you compare it to, say, another child, even if it's from the same gene, you know, the same mother or father, you get very few differences.
Yeah.
Because we all
Nature versus nurture.
well, we have a predictable line of development. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we're all expected to, you know, when we start, we have certain reflexes that we do that are for survival, and then we start to lose them. Of course, when you get people that are born with, say, a form of cognitive impairment or disability, sometimes they don't lose that reflex. So, you know, like
say colour blindness.
Well, no, like the rooting reflex, right? So that there, if you go up to a baby and you do that, they will open their mouth and they will turn, and that's
I've never heard of that before.
It's for the boob, right?
Yep.
It's for breastfeeding. So it's a reflex that's inbuilt to ensure to help with the survival of the species.
If there was anything that would be termed muscle memory, I think that would be it.
But we lose it.
Yeah.
You know, like if someone come up to me now and did that, I'm not going to go start.
Well, if someone put a boob next to my mouth and went like that,
well, that's
like,
different.
oh.
Yes. Well, they wouldn't even have to do that. You know, they just put the boob there. I'm in. You know, but so there's little things like that. You know that. You know, there's things like putting babies to sleep. You know, when you do certain repetitive
I've put
light
so many
strokes,
women to sleep doing that.
And they're inbuilt things that aid us to do certain things.
When I go to sleep, I put a pillow over my head like this. About 10 minutes of that, I just like...
Oh, okay.
I then go into my normal
No,
position.
I usually take a whole range of pills, and so
Alcohol.
I don't drink alcohol. I don't drink alcohol. I mean, I don't. When I say pills, I
Ambien?
No, so I take.
Are we going to see you tweeting racist comments?
No. I am the least racist person you'll come across. Like if I say something...
I actually call out anti-racism. People go too
yes,
far.
I think they do. So if I call out, if I have a derogatory comment or a negative opinion of some particular person,
yeah,
and they happen to be of an ethnic group, it's not because they're of an ethnic
no. I
group
chased a guy out of here once. He
Mm.
was in, like, I went down for a cigarette, came back and like chased him out here and then chased him up the road with the car and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't know he's Aboriginal.
No.
He's just a fucking criminal.
It's just that's right. That's right. So, but in saying that, you know, you do get certain. I mean, I think we look at, but you know, I don't have all the answers to stuff, but I
don't think anyone does.
I think we quickly. When you talk about, like Peterson talks a lot about identity politics, right? And I agree with him when you have this, and look, the left.
One of the few psychologists I agree with.
I think he's very practical. I think he's
logic.
He's very logical.
Logic and reason.
Absolutely, and I think because he's very observant, and he tries to be as objective. And when you listen to him, there's not a lot of subjective stuff that comes from him. Like he doesn't go, oh well, you know.
Well, he terms it I. If he is being subjective.
Yes. I mean, he's very clear when he gives if he changes his narrative to an opinion, he's very clear that it's his opinion. However, when he's talking about factual stuff, he can back that up.
Yeah.
And he has a whole plethora of evidence to say, well, because of this, this, and this, it's kind of likely that this is the
this is gonna
outcome.
happen, yeah.
This is going to happen.
Yeah.
And
you follow the evidence. It's like
it's
you're
there.
fucking right, mate.
It's there, and he says that, right? And people still argue with him, and they call him a right wing, or they call him, some. I've got
really feminist friends on my Facebook who like him.
Yeah, well, I'd like to hear their views on him, because if they really, really like him, they're not true feminists.
Well, I think a true feminist is actually after equality.
But that's not. I think feminism.
Toxic feminism.
I think feminism has lost
is
that.
an extremism.
Well,
it's like jihadism to a Muslim.
I disagree. I think feminism, just by virtue of its title, singles out a particular gender from the other. Which I think once you do that...
Well, it's like the Liberal Party was first called the Anti-Labour Party or something.
No, they were the Fascist Party. They were called the Fascist Party.
John Howard's... The Fascist Party?
Yes, John Howard's father was the president
of... Hey, Jamie, can you look that up for me?
John Howard's dad was the president of the International Fascist Movement. Fascism was actually a real thing.
Yeah, no.
Fascism was a real thing. Just like socialism was, and so was communism. Communism was evolved from socialism, but it became...
Yeah, it's extreme socialism.
But, well, it's not even that. It's a thing in its own right.
Yeah.
Communism is just another idea.
I was a hippie.
My grandfather was a communist.
I actually stayed in a couple of communes in Byron Bay for a while.
Well, yeah, that sounds like fun. I think them things are rites of passage for people. I think young people should be doing that stuff.
But we didn't have to hand over all our money to the fucking common good.
But see, that's where a good idea's been taken.
Or David Koch.
That's why a good idea's been taken and bastardised to benefit a few. When you look at places like these things that become cults. Scientology. You can't for 1 minute tell me that Hubbard guy was serious, right? You can't tell me he was serious when he first...
I actually know the origin.
Well, he was a fiction writer.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're at a pub one night and his mate comes up and goes, "Fuck these cunts.
Yeah.
We should start our own religion."
Start our own religion.
Like, that's a great idea.
Great idea. Don't have to pay tax and people are going to give us money. They'll worship us like we're gods. And look at it. Look what it's evolved into.
Yeah, man.
Do you know what I mean?
Fucking Tom Cruise jumping on couches and
shit.
But
do you know what that is? That's identity politics there.
Yeah.
That's identity politics, because what happens is you get people that are following an identity ideal, an idealism, right? It's like, really?
I identify as a lesbian.
Well, I just identify as a living organism that breathes and eats.
One of my friends was like, "Don't be a human doing, be a human being."
Human being, that's what we are.
You watch Community?
No, I don't watch a lot of stuff.
Community was...
So I have a direct connection. I don't have to...
So do I. Satan.
See, we're on the opposite ends.
No, we're the same people.
Well,
you just think you just think it's God.
I don't.
Well, he is God.
I don't believe in gods.
Satan is God.
I don't believe in gods. So I believe in...
Your Facebook feed would tell me otherwise.
Yes, that's right. But you know why? Because there's a purpose.
Were you just trolling people?
No, there's a purpose for that, right? Because my idea, I'm a bit ahead of my time.
Oh, we all are.
Nobody wants to be crucified as a heretic in this day and age.
Well, the heretic was actually a positive term.
Well, look, I think...
True.
I think people need to be allowed to have the confidence to speak their mind, right? And when I say speak their mind, and this is where Pauline Hanson falls down, right? Pauline Hanson is speaking on what she thinks people want to hear, and that's great. There's a lot of people that are thinking what she's saying.
Yes.
The problem is that a true leader, right? A true leader would put that point across in a much more diplomatic way, right? Now, the fact that people are concerned about, Islam immigration, And it's a valid point. It's a valid concern for a lot of people. But when you look at that, a lot of those people, what's their source of information? How are
Fox News.
Exactly. How are they educated around
Channel
that?
9.
How many of them have actually gone into a mosque? Or how many of them... I mean, America is a good example. Most people in America haven't left their own town, let alone their own county.
I don't have a passport.
Well, you know, I've got... I'm entitled to 3 or 4. But I'm entitled to a lot of passports.
You're a shill.
I prefer to refer it to as, Mr. International. It's just... That's my nationality. I am a citizen of the world.
Yeah.
And I think I should be able to go into any country on this planet like every other person.
On my Facebook, it says works at Earth.
It works at Earth. So migration or immigration should be, by all means, you have to have security. By all means, there's going to be people out there that do not have our best interests at heart. That is a fact of life. That's always going to be there. It's always going to be like that. So Fox News, Murdoch. Well, Murdoch should be hung from the nearest tree, actually.
I'm writing a movie called Rupert's Fault.
Well, he's got a lot to answer for. But, he doesn't care. You know why? Because he's raking in billions of dollars. He doesn't give a shit. Because
his ex-wives are, like...
They don't care.
Saving him from the
Well,
shootings.
he's compromised by wealth, greed, and, he's compromised by that.
Well, he's a... he's a slave of his advertising.
He's a slave of his own desire. That's what he is.
He only makes money out of advertising.
Yeah, but he's a slave to his own desire. Like most people that get to these places. Look, there's people on this planet that have...
Rupert's Fault.
There's people on this planet that have so much money, so much wealth, that they'll never ever spend it, even if they had like 10 lifetimes.
I got that memo off you, I think. No, it's Direct Democracy in Canada. I think you shared it where it's like...
Like a pyramid?
The top 100 people could fix
they could solve
poverty 4 times.
They could solve world hunger
and still be rich.
But here's the thing, right? So there's this deception that the Western world has been educated to in regards to the African continent. If you look at most old atlases or maps, they always show Africa as being smaller.
Oh, you're talking about the Mercato and...
I'm not quite sure what it is.
Oh, the different sizings.
The different sizes.
The way the globe is projected.
So it's not real. So it's done in such a way to make
Canada's
people...
heaps bigger than what it
and
was
America's
supposed to be.
bigger than everything else. And, I think the only thing that is real true, which they couldn't falsify... No, it's Australia. Because quite frankly, it's in the middle of us nowhere.
It's the equator, so... The equator is the same on all the maps.
Oh, yes, but it has to be. Because it's just a line, isn't it?
But Australia is 33 degrees down, so it would have to be expanded in a Mercator projector.
Right, yeah. But the thing is, no one really gave a shit about Australia.
Yeah, no one gives a fuck about Australia.
Right,
thanks, fuck.
Most people
I don't want you coming here either.
Most people didn't even know we were here. I remember being...
Oh, no, we're fake, as far as like...
we're actors.
I've been trolling the Flat Earth Society for the last two...
And we're actors?
About 2.5 years, right?
I tell you what, I think I'm doing a great job.
Yeah, for a fake person.
I need an award. Where's my award? Yeah. And I mean, the prop guys, they should be given an award as well.
Yeah.
I mean, to just fabricate a country like this out of nothing and nowhere.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, so I'm a nihilist, not really a Satanist.
I'm not really sure what a nihilist is.
So a nihilist, there's different, it's like a spectrum. So a nihilist believes in nothing.
Right, okay.
Nihil.
So you wouldn't mind if I just take that away from you? Not that I'm going to drink it, but...
I've got more over here, mate. So,
I don't drink.
So nihil is Greek for zero or nothing.
Right, okay.
So a nihilist believes in nothing.
Like nil.
I'm a fully extreme nihilist. I believe this is all an illusion. It's a very fucking good illusion.
It is, it's excellent.
Very fucking good illusion.
It's a plugged-in illusion, really. Well, because...
It's the Matrix, blah, blah.
Hurts. I can feel that.
Yeah, I know. I punch myself in the face all the time.
No, I don't do that. I know what happens. I've had enough people do it. I don't need to do it to myself.
Did you see have you seen the photos of me burning myself?
No.
I set myself on fire, like, right here. You can't really see it from here, but just near the door, there's like a dark patch.
Yes, I can see it. Yes,
it's about this far above me when I stand.
Right,
and that's a burn mark
from
me on fire.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
So what's the logic behind it? That's deliberate? You've done that deliberate?
I don't know.
Right.
I
Okay. So
like,
we had a...
so I'd,
were we lubricated?
So I'd woken up
Oh.
after a bender.
Right.
But the whole bender I was listening to Rage Against the Machine.
Right.
Just the one album.
So there's been a subconscious...
it's like
a subliminal thing going on?
Yeah, it's like, what's it like to set yourself on fire? Let's
Right.
find out.
Yes.
That's
the power of...
That was December...
Power of suggestion.
December a year and a half ago. Well,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just got the iPad back with all the photos and stuff. It's fucking disgusting.
Right. So you obviously haven't done too much serious damage there to yourself physically, yeah?
I didn't go to hospital.
Right. Okay. Reason for that?
Well, my mum's a nurse.
Right, that helps.
And it was really fucking hot that day.
Right. Okay.
It was like 36 degrees, and the car was like 45 degrees.
Yeah. Ambulance.
So I've run out. So there's like a jar that's set itself on fire, and I've tried to put it out, and I've picked it up, tripped over on the way to the door, and splashed it on myself. I've ran out to the hose, and then put myself out, and I've just like, Mum actually heard me going, "I'm on fire! I'm on fucking fire!" And she just thought, like, "Oh, it's just Scott." I got a 2,000 watt stereo.
Thank Christ you're not being murdered.
Like, yeah, I could hear something. He's still alive.
Yeah.
And I just went, sat in the shower for like an hour, and then came out and said to Mum, like, "Oh, I've fucking been seriously burned. Something's really fucking wrong here." And then I've just gone back and sat in the shower. She has gone out to the car, opened it all up, ready to drive me to hospital. And I've gone out there and I'm like, I can't fucking deal with this. I'm just going back to the shower.
Right.
And I sat in the shower for like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
Day 13 was the worst.
Yeah, right.
Because day 13 was where the nerves start growing back.
Okay. So what treatment did you do for that? Like here?
Betadine.
Just Betadine. Just for anyone else that might be watching.
Yeah. So
that happens to set themselves on fire and doesn't want to use the services that are available to make life a little easier.
Well, it was about day 10 I met a guy who's like, yeah, I went to hospital after burning myself on an exhaust pipe, and you looked at him and like, oh yeah, you've lost half your fucking calf.
Right.
Like the golden staph had eaten half his fucking...
Hospitals are, they're risky places, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really glad I actually didn't go to hospital. But Betadine, Betadine and a mixture of drying the scab out and covering it.
Do you know what?
Cover it at night time,
yeah,
and then let it dry out during the day.
Do you know what is a really good home remedy to a burn?
Potatoes?
Fish skin. Fish skin.
It's on the same covering thing.
It has the same. It has the same characteristics of protection because the main risk with a burn, my understanding, is infection. Because our skin, being our largest organ, is there to protect us from those things.
Yeah,
it's actually quite a dirty place too, our skin.
Oh, it's
an incredibly dirty place.
It's not as bad as our mouths.
No, our mouths are very filthy, very filthy.
Yeah, well, so it was like 3 weeks of like, so I burnt myself from here all the way across and all the way down to there.
Shit.
On one side.
That's a lot of skin.
I got the photos.
Yeah, sure. It's a lot of skin.
Later. Yeah.
It's a lot of skin, man.
But Betadine actually was the best thing. I got this sinusite, or it was like this clear antiseptic stuff.
Yeah.
It was supposed to fix it.
Yeah, okay.
Betadine, man. Holy shit, right. Betadine is the best thing.
Betadine is good stuff, yeah. Okay.
So
you made it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I had to sleep because I didn't have air conditioning out here at the time.
Okay.
In the middle of the summer, so I was sleeping out there in the air conditioning.
Oh shit.
Codeine knocked me around. I couldn't be a heroin addict.
No, codeine's an opiate, so
yeah. I could only take so much, so at the risk of upsetting my mum, hemp was the only
Yes.
thing that's actually touched the pain.
Hemp's got
It's the only thing that actually
makes you wonder why it ever became illegal.
Well, a black man was more likely to rape a white woman.
Or that it had
That
more.
was the Congress thing.
It had more to do with future sales of alcohol would never have been
Yep, and
quite as lucrative.
and it was backed up by big pharma
And then you had things like the building
and
industry,
paper industry.
the cotton industry. Yeah, a lot to answer for.
Yep.
Like we could solve hemp for a country like Australia could be crucial to our future economy
Oh, it will be.
because
I think it will be.
here's the thing though: the Conservatives, or I refer to as the
Fascists.
fascists.
We're in agreement, people.
We're in agreement. Yeah. So the fascists in this country, and they look. People, I've known people that we've been very lucky, and most of our good fortune for just the common person like yourself and me and my family and yours and everyone else who comes out
we're
of school,
commoners.
just the common
Yep.
common citizen, can owe our prosperity to the Labor Party,
Yes,
right?
and
It's
unions,
hands down.
and unions.
Well, the Labor Party came from the unions.
Yes,
Now, when people say
it was union action that got a lot of the things in
well,
the
it was
beginning,
and then they became a political.
and was supported by.
But right, so the union, the Liberal Party has their union,
Yeah, the Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Chamber of Commerce and Industry
Yeah.
is a union.
Fucking nailed that one.
It's a union for fascists.
Yes,
It's a capitalist union.
it's a business union.
It's a business union. We are no different, absolutely no different from a trade union.
No, absolutely not.
Trade unions,
Yep.
and most people should be aware of this, but a trade union has to abide by electoral rules, just like political parties.
I wasn't fully aware of that.
Well, I've been involved with the union movement for a while, and I've been on councils and stuff. So I was a part of for many years. I was quite active in the CSA CPSU, right, which is the public sector union.
CSA, yeah.
CSA, Civil Service Association, and the Community and Public Sector Union, which the CPSU is the federal equivalent, and the CSA is state, right? And they have an agreement. So they are the public sector. They represent public sector workers, right? And all of their rules are exactly the same as the rules of Parliament. So things have to be voted on. There has to be a quorum for various. It's just like most associations now have these rules, and government and have the same rules. So if you want to have an elected official, or a leader, it has to go to a vote. It has to go through. There has to be a ballot. It has to go through the electoral commission, and then it's highly scrutinized.
I wasn't aware of that, but
highly scrutinised.
Knowing my interest in flux recently, they're subject to the same rules.
Same rules. So it's highly scrutinised, the same as any other organisation. Probably more so because it is a public sector union, right? So public sector workers, for instance, are under much more scrutiny than most other organisations because we are government, right?
Yep.
Not that I'm talking on behalf of government, but they're just, I've been a government employee for the best part of 3 decades now, and so
They wouldn't employ me.
well, I mean, they probably wouldn't employ me now, but back then, I was just in my 20s, and I needed a job. So
They would have employed me in my 20s, early 20s.
yes, so this is where you got to get in early. Don't waste your time.
You want a drink?
No, that's cool. You're drinking something that I wouldn't put my lips near. It's got
So what's
poison in it.
There's lemonade and there's water.
I'll have a lemonade for now.
So what drove you away from the drink?
Oh, drugs. Yeah, drugs drove me away from the drink.
You just wanted to go cold check and everything else?
I had to. So, addiction's a funny thing. It's something that we are conditioned to from a very early age, and for the most part, most of us, we're all addicted to something.
Oh yeah.
Right, but for the most part, most of us are functional addicts, and for a great part of my life, I was a functional addict, to the extent where I could still, go to work, pay my bills, put food on the table, roof over my head. I was functional to that level. I could do that, but a lot of it also was, underlying all that. As long as I had my vice, initially it was Friday night at the pub.
Yeah.
And you'd go and see a band and you'd booze up, and unfortunately for me that didn't last too long, because I met a girl at the dartboard, and I should be grateful for alcohol to a certain degree, because
it does lubricate, doesn't it?
Well, look, I often joke that if it wasn't for alcohol and drugs, I'd still be a virgin, and there's probably a lot of truth in that.
Skateboarding for me.
So here's the thing.
I was an early starter though.
So was I. Look, I had my first cigarette at 7, and
I was 10.
Growing up, the drugs. Drugs. I had a fair bit of knowledge around drugs and what to stay away from and what not to.
So you grew up in.
So I grew up in the 70s. In.
Yeah.
I was.
No, what place?
Oh right.
It was his birthday yesterday.
Yeah. So 51. So I grew up in the 70s in Bassendean, in Perth, and.
So you moved far then. Were you born somewhere else?
I was born in Belfast. So I was born in Belfast in 1968, and my parents in 1971 loaded us all up onto
3 years old.
3 years old, not quite. I wasn't quite 3 when we left Ireland, but I was 3 when we got here. So
it's like my mum taking me from here to Port Hedland.
Yes. So my mum and dad loaded us all up as a family in Belfast. The Troubles had just started, so there was.
Oh really?
So all that had just started. People.
I thought they'd gone on for longer than.
Well, the oppression, the oppression has gone on for like 800 years.
Troubles.
But yeah, so the Troubles just arced up in about 1969, when there was some sectarian violence. So sectarian groups started murdering Catholics. They were going into Catholic areas and
executing. English terrorists started it, you reckon?
Well, they were
per se.
Yeah, they were sectarian groups. They were paramilitaries. The UDA, the UFF, the RUC, which was supposed to be a police force. Anyway, so I'm not going to get too deep into those sorts of things. But
the first suicide bomber was Jewish.
It was actually Sri Lankan.
Really?
Mm. The first suicide bomber.
Jamie, can you bring that up?
First suicide bomber was, from my understanding, I'm not,
I thought so. The Jews opposed British rule 1946. No,
that's not entirely right, because
and
the
that
Jews.
Was the first suicide bomber.
The Jews. So, the Jews were given as compensation after World War II. There was the Jewish thing. You got to be careful. You're not allowed to speak out against Jews. There's a couple of articles in the New York Times back.
Fuck that.
There's a few articles that I read that were interesting, and I suppose you can fact check them, whatever comes first.
Hey, we'll do both. We'll do both.
About this. So the New York Times is predominantly a Jewish publication.
I didn't know that.
So there was a particular reporter that was reporting about a Holocaust in Germany or in Europe in pre-World War One, or around from 1912, 1911. something around that.
What's it like? Yeah.
And and the figure was 6 million Jews being persecuted, and there was and through that grew this
Pre World War One.
Around World War One,
Yeah.
because World War One started 19.
It ended 16.
It ended in 16, yeah. So it was about 1911 or something, or 1912 that started. So, and I've actually read these articles in the New York Times that are dated.
Yeah.
It's got. I mean, it may have been
I'll
fabricated, but there's quite a few of them, and I'll have to try and track down who the reporter was. But it was pushing this narrative about persecution of the Jewish people, and it was pushing the six. And each time it would state 6 million, 6 million, 6 million.
Was it the Balfour Declaration?
I'm not sure.
Is the one that so Churchill wrote a letter to a Rothschild to say that we're going to give you a place. That's the Balfour Declaration, I think.
It could be. So there wasn't
wasn't until the
so
Second World War.
That Second War. So after the Second World War, so there was all of this stuff about a Jewish Holocaust was being pushed in World War One, right? And remember, World War One was a designer war. It was designed. So it was designed by the world elite.
Was it Franz Ferdinand?
Yeah, it was all pre-planned, just like World War Two.
So Franz Ferdinand just basically went around a big block and then came back to the same place and got assassinated.
Yeah, but just
that doesn't sound planned at all.
Well, no, but the
no,
thing,
it does actually.
Wars have been started over. It doesn't take a lot for a war to start,
Yep.
I mean, today they
Gulf of Tonkin.
Well, today they have to lie and make up stuff because.
No, they've had to lie for a long time.
Well, before it was easier.
Yeah.
It was easier. You didn't have the internet, and most newspapers were done by a village idiot or a village scribe. Because most people in the village were an idiot. They were illiterate. Because the main thing.
Usually, the people that could write were actually the church people.
Well, it was priests, yeah. So
that's where the news came from.
So we kind of, it's hard to get caught up in a lot of those things were based on. It was a double-edged sword because people church in particular relied on that, right? Yeah. We started as small communities, villages, towns, then became cities, and so forth and so forth and so forth. The last 100 years, the explosion in our population has been unsustainable. Unsustainable.
Not so much in Australia, but throughout the world, yes.
Yeah, well, even here it's unsustainable because only 20% of our land.
Desert.
We are. Well, I mean, unless you. I mean, if you were Jewish, and this is where I admire the Jewish people. They can turn a desert into an oasis.
You got to cut lunch? Sorry, I shouldn't have asked that while you're drinking.
No.
No?
I just got it.
I do.
Yeah, I don't have cut lunch.
Yeah.
So
my mum worked in a men's health hospital.
Yeah.
And saw all the infections and they're all getting it.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, today it's not so bad. I'm not sure what the purpose of that.
I think it was to fight off infection.
To have one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right.
To get it cut off. Because back in the day where they didn't shower and they were living in the desert, it was fucking hot as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, their fucking dicks rotted off.
Yeah, probably. It doesn't surprise me. I don't know.
I think that was the reason.
Could be. Yeah. Anyway, so it's look, politics is a nasty business. I think most of it's manufactured.
Well,
and people change.
The interest of money has corrupted it.
Right. So here's my thing on politics. I think things have moved way too quickly in the last probably 50 years, and we haven't kept up with it. Right now, 100 years ago, a politician, had to travel hundreds and hundreds of miles by horse and cart or by train. You know what I mean?
Hence, representative democracy.
Yes, and they were very restricted, and they had to get out there and communicate and all this. How many days does a politician sit in Parliament? 14? A year?
Maybe 30. max.
And what do they do? They do a lot of running around, and they do a lot of
Most of it's fundraising.
for themselves. For themselves.
It's even worse in America.
It's
though.
for themselves. Most of the work. No, I'm not saying they don't work hard. They do, but it's for themselves, right? So I actually think there should be laws that a politician, right? Because they're getting their cake and they're eating it as well, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So most of these politicians today that are in Parliament now, the old school ones, not maybe the new ones, are going to walk out of Parliament into a cushy job, possibly a Chinese corporation who they've done many good deals with.
Yeah.
Right.
That's fucking corruption, man.
To the core. But they
Corporate political corruption.
But they've worked it within the law. I can guarantee you, trying to prosecute.
Oh, the law's fucked.
Of course, the law's fucked.
Right, on that, yeah.
So
that's the main thing that really incenses me.
Yes. So here's my thing. So I've started a bit of a campaign now. I don't know if you've noticed, very subtly.
Well, I haven't got the link yet, so.
Right. No, very subtly, right? Because it's all about. You have to change the hashtags.
Yeah.
So it's all about changing. Because
I'm happy to share those hashtags.
the thing is, we are all a little bit hypnotised. Because let's not forget, governments, big corporation, big business, pay a whole bunch of people that have dedicated their life in a psychology class studying human behaviour.
Yeah.
Right?
Astrology is a study of human behaviour. It's the oldest science.
It is, but it's probably more.
Well, we have been studying it for that long.
Yeah, but it's not so much.
That's all I'm saying.
It's linked to human behaviour, but it's not a study. It's a much greater concept, and we'll touch on that a bit later because I've got some very good theories on, well, my own personal belief
astrology
on astrology and what its original purpose was, right? Which kept us
psychology.
Safe. So my little hashtag thing, right?
Do not consent.
Do not consent. Do not participate. Revolution now. And then I've added a new one. Sack the LNP.
Well, the federal election's coming up.
The reason I say that is because, I mean, if people just sat back and were objective, and I would like to say to people, look up the word objective first.
It means the greater good. Well,
no, objective
how
is...
it means to everyone.
No, objective is looking at something without your own personal opinion.
Well, how it means to everyone rather than how it means to you.
So objective is like me going, and I looked at these glasses objectively, and I say, that's a pair of glasses.
Yeah, but if you did that, it would just, like, your eyes are subjectively thinking, like, are subjectively taking in that information, and it's just 2D. Your brain is making your glasses out to be glasses.
No, you know why my brain does that? Because I was told, because whoever had created these, when they first created them, said, these are glasses. If he had turned around and said, this is a pumpkin, we'd all be calling these pumpkins.
Well, it's the, it's the...
Providing we didn't already have the other pumpkins.
It's the colourblind argument. If that's, say, the royal blue of the Australian flag, it looks red to me. But I've been told my entire life that that's fucking blue.
That it's blue, yeah.
But it's red.
Really? You're colourblind?
No, the argument is I've been told my entire life.
Oh, right. I just thought maybe
that's blue.
I thought you said that to you it's red.
But it could be red to you.
Oh, but you missed that word could.
No.
When you said that, you said, to me it's red. And I'm like, figured maybe, because my first father-in-law was colourblind. And he couldn't see reds and greens and blues.
Yeah. But so like red blue colourblind, red green colourblind is an actual thing.
Yeah.
But if you flipped light on its head, that'd be red, and no one would be able to know that I'm seeing blue.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty deep, that one.
That's the argument.
Yeah. Anyway, so.
But that argument exists across a whole range of things.
To be honest with you,
if you grew up in a Liberal Party family, that's all you fucking know.
That's all you know, and you've benefited from that.
Probably.
But here's what's happening now. Now, I don't dispute the benefit of having those separate ideals. 50 years ago, it worked for that conservative, liberal ideology was for the rich, for the wealthy, for the privileged. That's fine. People are in that position, fine. But the working class, everything we have today has been built on the blood, sweat and tears.
38-hour week.
Right. Labour.
Penalties.
Labour. The weekend. Labour. Medicare. Labour. Overtime. Labour.
Nearly every public holiday.
Superannuation. Labour.
Yep. Trains.
Right. Minimum wage. Labour.
Public transport.
and
Medicare.
And well, here's the thing on Medicare. There's one person, right? One person from the day. So Medicare was brought in by Bob Hawke, right?
Are you talking about Medibank?
No, Medicare.
Because Medibank was first introduced by an earlier person.
From
and
Whitlam.
that was actually Medicare.
Yeah.
And then the government privatised
it. Yes.
And then they brought
the
out,
Liberal government privatised it.
And then they brought out Medicare.
Medicare, yes.
but
Medicare was a much.
Haven't been able to get rid of it yet.
So, so the minimum wage, for instance, right?
Yeah.
For John Howard's entire political career, right?
Worst Prime Minister ever.
His entire political year, he opposed every single vote on the minimum wage. Every one. There was not once that he.
The only good thing he did was get rid of guns.
Yeah, but I don't think he even had. I think. Here's the thing. I don't really have an opinion on guns. I don't like them. I think something like that should never be a private enterprise, first and foremost.
What, guns?
Yep, because I think that's the problem they have in America. Because the gun lobby is a private organisation. Guns are manufactured by private corporations, private businesses, and
the government doesn't make guns.
Governments don't make guns. The government should. They should be regulating that stuff.
The Second Amendment, or whatever the amendment was all about, just in case the government fucks you over.
But here's the thing: the Second Amendment, when it was written, right, it took you 5 minutes to reload.
Yeah, muskets.
Right? It took you 5 minutes to reload that thing. Right, it's a little different.
But the government also had cannons.
They did.
At the time.
They did.
So that argument is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now they've got Apaches and drones. And
that's right. Not even that. They've got stuff from.
And stuff.
You know, they can.
I thought I switched you off. Oh, 420. So.
420. Oh, is it that time? Is it?
Nah, not really.
No? Right. Okay.
Not these days.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I must admit, of all the drugs, that's the one I probably...
it should be legal.
I miss a little bit. I mean, I don't take anything now. Here's the thing. I've got things... I'm not for over-regulation of stuff, right? But we've got to a point where people have forgotten how to think for themselves, right? They believe whatever's
nanny state.
Whatever's regurgitated, they will believe. Now, I had an argument online with someone the other day that I'm sure if they could have worked out where I live, they would have come and killed me, about 9/11 being an inside job.
That sounds like a Tuesday to me.
But, you know, it's beyond obvious now that a handful of Middle Eastern terrorists could never, in a million years, pull that off.
So there was an engine that hit the World Trade Center, went through the World Trade Center, ended up on the street in New York.
Yeah.
And it was a Pratt & Whitney engine.
Yeah.
And that airline only had Rolls-Royce engines.
Yeah. The thing is, that building was designed and built specifically to take...
DC-10.
That's right.
And that's as big or bigger.
And then you've got the owner of the World Trade Center that only 6 weeks or so prior to that happening,
the double insurance policy.
Updated the insurance policy.
Double insurance policy.
Not only that, but added that specific incident.
So Building 7 did not get hit by a plane.
Of course it didn't. Nothing hit it.
Had minor fires and imploded in on itself.
Yes.
Like a controlled explosion.
And it was
nowhere
near where that plane hit that thing.
Well, it was across the road.
Well,
like when a big building like that, there will be some damage.
Of course.
But it was only minor. It was only minor fires.
Yes. It was definitely an inside job.
I freaked out that day. Where were you?
I had just got home from work, and I had I was watching TV. I was watching a movie, and I think I was having a drink, and I'd probably had a couple of chuffs. I wasn't long home from work, and I was watching TV, and I don't know what I was doing, and I remember seeing this thing and thinking, what happened to the movie I was watching? Like, I thought I just lost all my bearings, and it took me about 10 seconds to realise that what I was watching was real, was really happening.
Yeah.
Because of course it was 24/7 being replayed on every channel. Because I remember changing the channel over once.
Well, that was the first time everyone watched CNN. Everyone.
Yes.
CNN's
made CNN very
explosion.
popular. Yes. Yeah. I'd never heard of CNN until then.
No, neither I.
No, it actually gave CNN some credibility. You know, because I think it took me about a few years to realise that, you know...
It took that long. It took like 20 years for CNN to like tell to people that news is actually like real.
Yeah. Yeah, look, it's... So I got in this argument, this person got very offensive and threatening that I would even dare suggest that...
Christian fundamentalist? Or?
Yeah, someone in America. That the 9/11 was... Actually, no, he wasn't. He was in the UK. That 9/11 was not an inside job. And here's why people believe that, right? Here's why it's easy to
Well, the narrative.
Yeah, here's why it's easy. Because what are your options? And this is what Peterson talks about a lot, how these fundamentalist ideas get traction. What is the alternative? The alternative...
Well, the alternative is that we started the war.
No, the alternative is to believe that people we trust and pay taxes to and that we think are there to protect our interests and us could do such a thing, could sacrifice 5,000 of their own citizens from around the world. For what? For what gain?
That's a Tuesday for them.
So they could have reason... Well, look, George Bush Senior and Junior, the senior's dead now, but he should be trunk.
Yeah.
He should be dragged into an international court and tried under an international court for what he did in Iraq.
The false pretense to war.
Oh, of course it was. John Howard should be right next to him when that happens. And Blair. And they all knew. They all knew.
All of them.
They knew without a shadow of a doubt that there was no way in hell that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. And he warned them.
So we held Iraq basically at siege for 12 years.
Yes. For what?
Well,
considering that they were once the ally of NATO. Well, look, NATO used them because America...
We sold F-14 Tomcats to Iran rather than Iraq.
Yeah, but before that, but they were supporting Iran because they were fighting... They were supporting Iraq because they were fighting Iran in the 80s.
We were supporting Iraq. We were supporting Iran because they were fighting the Russians in Afghanistan.
Yes, but go before that, 1979.
And now they're all mates.
1978, 1979, 1980, Iraq, the Iraq-Iran war.
Yeah.
Right? Iraq was backed by the US. Yeah, but most of their weapons came from the US.
But the US also sold F-14 Tomcats, which is their best ever fighter.
Yeah, but not until much later.
No.
Not until after that war.
That was during the war.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, because... So there was that airliner that was shot down during the Iran-Iraq war.
Yes, I actually flew over Iran and Iraq during that war.
Yeah,
I even looked down.
So
all I seen was desert.
So Iraq
had one soldier.
Iraq had one of those business planes.
Yeah.
With missiles on it.
Okay.
And attacked a frigate.
Yeah.
And during the Iran, that was early in the Iran-Iraq war.
Yeah.
And in the Straits of Hormuz, America thought that Iran was doing the same thing.
Right.
So they shot down and fucking killed 200 people.
Look, war's just a political game of chess. It's a political game of chess.
War for Territory. Do you like Sepultura?
Who?
Sepultura, whatever.
Sepultura.
Oh, it's a death metal band.
No.
They're very political.
Yeah, no, that's
Like
not
Rage
my
Against-
kind of music.
Like Rage
Acapella's
Against the
my
Machine.
thing.
You like acapella, do you?
I like acapella. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the idea of your voice being the instrument. Yeah. It's I've got some great acapella.
Yeah.
On here. I've done a bit of work. I went to a workshop.
The only acapella I really know is from Katie Noonan because I think she's.
Well, Pitch Perfect. Did you ever watch Pitch Perfect? Any of those movies? Good fun movies to watch. Good fun movies. No. Yeah, really. They're just fun. They're just fun, yeah. Feel good movies, and it's all about. It's all about, you know, like the college a cappella circuit in America. Really, it's got some really funny, really funny stuff. It's some really funny stuff in it, and the singing's quite good.
Yeah,
and it's and it's the usual American against the Russian thing, and there's some real clever writing around putting that together. You should watch it. It's good fun.
I've seen the trailers, but
yeah, it's good fun. And what's the stuff? Big Fat Amy.
I've got a really big thing against like The Voice or like that sort of. It just grates.
I don't
me.
really
As a lifelong musician.
Yes, I don't like The Voice so much. I like the X Factor. But here's the thing:
because they've got other talents and stuff, they're actually exposing people.
The only part of the X Factor that I like is the auditions.
Yeah.
After that, it all becomes manufactured.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, you might need a bit of talent to get past that, but once you get
the only thing of The Voice that I've ever watched is like
the auditions. The auditions are the best because you've got raw stuff, people coming in doing their authentic, whatever their authentic talent is. Yeah. They're exposing that, and then if they get accepted from there, they get manufactured.
The Monkeys, hey with the Monkeys.
I thought they were great.
They were the first manufactured band.
Were they really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were the first band, like the first boy band.
What about Herman's Hermits? Weren't they before the Monkeys?
Hey Jamie. Herman's
Hermits.
Hey?
Yeah, I used to love Herman's Hermits. They did movies and everything.
Do you remember the Monkeys?
I do. I remember the Monkeys. I used to watch Monkeys all the time. They had their own television show. It was awesome. Actually, one of them just died recently.
What's that noise?
What noise?
Dirt. Classic.
Told you I'm deaf in this ear.
I'm still on fucking intercom.
Because I've got an issue with my ear at the moment.
Glue ear?
No, so
I've had an issue with this ear for 5 years.
Well, this is 3 years. So about 3 years ago, almost to the day, right? A lot of stuff happens from here in this time of the year, unfortunately. Well, yeah. Anyway, you'll have to wait for the book. It's called It'll be called the only one left. That'll be the title of my book.
Mine's the Chronicles of Triple S.
Yeah, mine will be called The Only One Left, and it'll be you'll need a box of tissues with my one, and then at the end, of course,
Were you in the end?
Yes, I was.
I flaked out on that day.
I was in the end.
I had food poisoning. I
was discovered.
I was supposed to be one of the boxers, and sorry, Anthony, but I had food poisoning that day.
Did you? Well, that's where I was discovered.
Were you a boxer, or what was your...
I was just an extra pretending to box. And I'll tell you the story.
Maybe we would have fought. Maybe we were
probably not.
Maybe
we
were lined up to fight.
Probably not. I was a skinny looking thing. There was have you watched the end?
I haven't watched the whole thing.
Yeah, well, you must have missed the bit where I got pushed out of the way by a really hot chick.
No, I saw that.
Yeah, that was me. That was me. Yeah.
She's pretty hot.
She was. Yeah. She even come up and apologised. I said, Do it again.
Yeah, fucking harder next.
Do it again.
Harder.
It was funny. I'd just come out of rehab.
Really?
I was just out of rehab. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, because I've been to rehab.
congratulations.
Thanks you. Yeah, that's why I don't drink or smoke.
Hope you bum no babies.
Yeah, unfortunately, that a bit too late for me for that one.
Yeah, not for me.
I got 6 kids, 4 grandchildren.
Maybe. I'm still waiting on that knock on the door.
Kids are good.
My friends keep giving me shit.
Yeah,
Like,
you might.
You got to get the knock on the door.
You might.
mate.
You might get that knock on the door. Dad. Okay, you'll know because you've got those.
Hey, it would have saved me a lot of money.
Yeah. They might ask for back pay. Hey, Dad. Yeah. Look, it is. And don't get me started on that sort of stuff. I have very different views on things like the Child Support Agency.
It's time.
It's 4/4/29.
So we're going to go live in 3.5 hours.
Yes.
We've got plenty of time.
Yes. We've got loads of time. Loads of time.
I got plenty of memory.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that should be a good show. So
Yeah, so I want to... So what's the premise of the cooking show that you want
right.
to...
So here's
single people.
So no, So here's the thing. Here's the thing. I have a vision. I have a definite vision of how I would like this show to evolve, and what it would eventually represent, and what it will be providing as like I'd want it to be like a community service, or to be a service, a show of service.
Something to do good.
Something to do good. Something that will benefit people. I'm not looking for like some big commercial thing, get famous out of it, or to make it go mainstream or anything like that.
It's surprising how many people out there just don't know how to do anything.
Of course, there's loads of them. So I've done quite a bit of research and spoken to not a lot of research. I've spoken about what my vision for this show was, and what I plan to, what I hope its purpose will be, and that comes from a lived experience. Right. So when I was 42, I found myself all of a sudden I'm single. Now I've always known how to cook, and when I was married and had kids, I looked after my kids, and I would do all that sort of stuff.
32.
Hey?
I was 32.
32. So
I've almost been single for 10 years.
So I was 42 years old, and I didn't know how to be a single man. I knew how to be a dad. I knew how to be a husband. And I knew how to provide for a family. But I didn't know how to provide just for me on my own. So one of the things that I see, and from my discussions I've had with a lot of people, and I had a really interesting discussion with my doctor. So I was wondering, you need to cut your toenails. That hurt.
And he's got shoes on.
I haven't, they're thongs.
Oh.
So I had a really interesting discussion with my GP, and I have a specialist GP. He's an amazing man.
I haven't been to the doctor in 7 years.
No, I have to, and this is part of what
I probably should.
You should, trust me. It's another big issue that men fail themselves in that area.
Well, I don't work full time anymore, so I've no reason.
You've got more reasons.
No, I've got no reason to go to a doctor.
Yes.
I don't need a doctor's
That
certificate.
means a doctor's certificate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when it comes down to, see, that's the perfect. You're the perfect.
Go to doctor.
Yes, you're the perfect.
Yeah, I thought
candidate.
I thought I was a great person.
You're the to do the first episode. So you're the.
I was going to show you how I cook.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So basically, what I want to do is I want to share my lived experiences of what it was like, not just for me, but I want to draw from that. So on tonight's show, I would like to basically the format to be like a production meeting.
Yeah.
Right? About getting the foundation of this concept show up and running. So for the audience, we'll be asking, what do you think we're going to need for this? It's going to be, so I don't know much about producing a television show or an online show. I know.
I'm just the tech guy. I don't know.
So you're the tech guy.
A lot of the other stuff.
Yes. So you've got that. So what I want it to be is I want it to be a collaborative project where it's interactive. So tonight I'll be asking for people to send in requests, right? If it's a female sending in a request about a male, it doesn't have to be a male issue, because women are a male
Get
issue.
single just as much as we do.
Well, they're a male issue too, the same as men are a women's issue. This is where we have to start changing our thinking.
People.
We have to start changing our thinking around this men against women thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because quite frankly, we would never have got this far in our evolution had we not cooperated with each other.
Yeah, because we're much better throwing rocks.
Of course we are. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we would never have.
We're symbiotic.
Yes, we can't live without the other.
We can't live without.
And they can't live without us.
Yeah.
And you're getting all this. Some of the stuff you're seeing online now about, we've got the technology now where we no longer require male sperm.
Did you see that thing I posted up the other night about this is an example of
female toxic femininity.
That
Feminism.
was disgusting.
Yes.
That manifesto.
And quite frankly, and then there's the other one. Oh, men should be grateful that we're not being revenge. Seeking revenge. Well, let me tell you something, sweetheart. If you declared war against men and we started to go and all that, it wouldn't last long.
I had a woman rush at me my girlfriend rushed at me with scissors one time. And I was just like, trying to go, what the fuck are you doing?
That's right. Look, quite frankly,
I just held her there for a while. That didn't just happen.
And look, I get myself in trouble all the time because I have real responses to a lot of these things. Domestic violence is abhorrent. On a serious note, it's abhorrent. Any violence against anyone is unacceptable. Under any circumstances.
Unless it's self-defense.
Unless you have to defend yourself. Yeah. Now, I hate to say this, right? I hate to say it, and this is one of the resentments I have towards my first wife. That I would like to be able to say I've never hit a woman in my life. Unfortunately, I can't say that.
I can't say that either.
Because in the early days, and we were just kids. I think I was about 19. She was 21 or something, 22. And we had been at the pub, and we had really gone to town on the booze. And I, as I used to, get a bit stupid with the booze. And we were coming home, we were arguing, right?
Like you do.
We were arguing. It was the Bayswater Hotel, and we used to live up the road, and we must have walked for about 20 minutes at each other's throats. Bickering, back, right? We get to the house, and I went to open the door, and she said something, and I turned around, and she just started banging into me. Now, my first wife could fight like a man.
Yeah?
She could fight.
Make you sleep in the wet spot?
Oh, no. There was never a wet spot. I'm not a wasteful person.
Didn't she get wet? Usually they're overflowing for me.
Yeah. Anyway,
sorry.
It's So the thing was, in order for me to stop her from hurting me, and she was punching me and really laying into me, was to give her a little.
No one else was watching, obviously.
Nobody else was there,
That's
and it was just a little tap, and it was. But a little tap from me was enough to give her a couple of black eyes, because I'm strategic. If I'm going to hit someone, I don't like to keep hitting. I don't like violence. I don't like losing my temper. Part of the reason why I don't drink anymore, because I don't like drinking.
So I'm a happy drunk.
See, I'm a happy drunk if I'm around happy people. It doesn't take much for me to become an unhappy drunk. I become whatever my environment is. So if someone gets a bit angry, that arcs me up. So I just don't drink. And to be honest with you, I don't like, because I've been clean and sober now for a few years. I I've come to realise that I never really liked the effect alcohol had on me
Yep.
and what it did to me and what it did. It literally, I'm a very sensitive person. You know, I don't mean like a, you know, I'm not all sensitive, but I'm very intuitive and I'm
Chemically
very
sensitive.
sensitive to stuff. Part of the reason why I grow my hair, no one's ever asked me why I'm growing my hair. I haven't cut my hair in 2 years, right? Because it's
I had the second longest hair in grade 12.
well, I'm all about trying to become as natural as I possibly can, right? I'm trying to become as natural as I possibly can with my environment, you know, with the universe, with what I call a higher power. And when you know, people often say, well, what is your higher power? And my higher power, right?
I've told you what I think.
I know you're going to love this. My higher power, you're going to love it. Wait, hold it. My higher power, what am I?
Your higher
My
self.
belief of what? No, not my higher self, because that's ego. It's kind of a bit. It's kind of.
I see ego as a lower self.
Well, no.
Maybe I am already my higher self then.
Or you're still your
Maybe.
or you're still your lower self. I don't know.
No, I'm interrupting. I'm sorry.
You are. Yeah. See, that's an ego thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
You were saying?
So, what I think, and it's purely just my own belief system.
So is it a belief or a thought?
It's it's a knowing.
Yeah, knowing's not belief, I don't think.
No,
knowing is thought.
It's not even thought. It's not even that.
To know is understood information.
No, so it's not even that. It's like it's a feeling. It's an awareness.
Yeah.
It's an awareness, right? So
It's not belief.
Well, a belief is something that is a second-hand concept, isn't it? Isn't it?
I think belief goes beyond reason.
Well, yeah, but to believe something
is to blindly.
Not always.
No.
Not always.
Faith and belief are beyond reason, I feel.
I think faith is very different from belief. Faith is a very different
thing.
thing.
They're the same fucking thing.
No, I don't. I think they're very different.
Okay.
I think there's a certain amount
I'm happy to explore this.
There's a certain amount of surrender in faith.
Well, faith is all about surrender.
Yeah, but belief isn't. See, if you believe something...
it is the same thing.
No, because if you believe something, there's usually some kind of concrete evidence or something to support your belief. Usually. If you look at it universal. Anyway... we've
got plenty of time.
We were distracted
We've got the rest of our lives, man.
We have. So, my concept, my awareness of what I have come to believe as a higher power... I haven't come to believe it. It's something I've come to rely on, and it has.
Yeah,
I've come to rely on it as being an integral part of my physical being. It's my connection to where I think we've come from, and that is my higher power is that space between you and me, mate. Is that just
field theory?
What? You were supposed to be blown away by that.
No, I'm a.
You're a nihilist. That's right. I forgot.
No, I'm a devotee of science.
Yes.
So field theory is the explanation of. So if a.
Okay, look, I know what you're saying. It's not.
So if an electron is going around a nucleus.
Yes.
So if a nucleus was this big, the electron is 1.5 miles away.
Yes.
So 99.99% of space is the field.
The field, yes.
So the difference between you and me, is field theory.
Yeah.
I understand.
But in something within that is a wisdom, is a knowing that its sole purpose is my best interests. Is what's best for me.
Is it the Akashic Records? Do you know about the Akashic Records?
No.
It's supposed to be this inbuilt knowing that you can draw upon.
Yes.
Jamie, can you bring up the Akashic Records for us? It's a bit wooey. Woo is like spirituality.
Well,
It's just
of
a word.
course.
It's a word for.
So you could also link that to Hinduism.
Yep.
Right, so the Hinduism is about
That's the world's second oldest religion.
so Hinduism is all about that we have different levels of life form. And so the Hindu believe that
Not Buddhist.
the Hindu so the Buddhist is different. A Buddhist do believe that you have that within yourself and that you can become your own God. You can become God-like, right? That's Buddhist, right? Okay. And I get that.
Yeah.
I get that, but I think it's a bit more detached from, say, the Hindu. Right?
If you believe in God, you cannot be God.
Right. That's the Buddhisms don't believe in God. Right, as such,
Yep.
as a deity.
Yep.
There is no... Because
That's the difference. That's a major difference between Hindu and Buddhism.
well, Buddhism don't... Buddhism is not a religion. Buddhism is a way of life.
Yes.
Right?
But it's still a faith.
It's not really. It's a way of life.
say
It's a practice.
They start
Like the
it's
Buddha
not a
himself,
religion, but it is a faith.
it's become a religion. People have used it as a religion. I mean, people use money as a religion.
Yeah.
No, I mean, look, some of them become prime ministers of countries, rich countries,
Welcome to
just because that's their religion. And that's one of the problems with politics today, is because the greatest bit lost for words there.
Is maybe I can fill in the
For
blanks.
politicians, incentive. The greatest incentive for a politician to become a politician is to get rich.
Or just re-election.
Well, no, most of them.
2 terms.
Most people
pension.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't believe they start off that way. They go in there thinking they've got a bit of an ideal.
I can change the world.
I'll change the world, but you can't change the world if you become part of a system,
Yes.
right? And that's inevitably what they do.
Well,
Because
that's actually why I've got into politics recently.
to change the system.
No, it's to introduce a new system. Because Flux is actually a whole system.
Yeah,
It's not a party. It's
No.
apolitical.
yes.
Every party can exist within Flux.
Yes, but
So-
but
But yeah, I
to
wouldn't
the
be.
detriment of who? When you say every party, would the LNP
Well, if people,
survive? No.
if their policies stand up,
Yeah, but look at, I mean,
if their policies stand up, people in
Okay.
Flux will vote for
so
them.
let's look at our current system. If governments, if the Liberal and National Party never ever formed a coalition, the Liberal Party would never have ever since Federation held power in this country ever.
So the Liberal Party have always been part of a coalition.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, so that National Party is just...
I've never researched that, but I think that sounds
Yeah.
plausible.
You look at the two-party system,
Yeah.
right? The two-party preferred,
Yeah,
right?
because it normally comes down to that because
Because they have a coalition.
you can't preference the major party
No,
because they've already won.
they've already won.
So a two-party preferred is the minimalistic
That's
part
right.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and Labor stands alone. The coalition is a coalition of Liberal and National,
That sounds very plausible to me.
right?
Yeah.
But Labor is a standalone party. The problem with Labor is there's party politics that's always involved with that. One of the things that you don't get so many party politics in is the Liberal Democrats. So
Which are not a major group.
they're starting to get some traction.
They only really started in the last 10
Yeah,
years. or
yeah.
something.
So they're starting
as
to get.
as an offshoot.
They're starting to get. No, they're not part. They're libertarians. They're libertarians. They're
Yeah.
not liberal conservatives like
So
our.
you're not talking about LNP.
No, we're talking about Liberal National Party. The
It's the coalition. That's the
that's the coalition.
Yeah.
So the Liberal Democrat Party is a party of liberty,
Yeah.
liberty and freedom. So what they say, and I'm very interested, I didn't know this, only because my son became one, and I was sitting with the president and a local elected member. My son ran for the last election last year, and I was talking about some of my belief systems, and my son saying to the president, see, I told you he was a Liberal Democrat because I've always identified as being socialist in my views.
Some libertarian things.
Yeah,
they're very.
So what their belief is that we're overgoverned.
Yes.
Right, overregulated. I
think everybody
and
believes that.
overgoverned. Right, become a nanny state. Things like, if you want to take drugs, this is one of their things, and I haven't really.
Taking drugs is not illegal in WA. It's not illegal,
isn't it?
No, it's the possession.
It's the possession, but if you find it in your system, you're still in possession.
No, you're not.
Are you?
No.
You're in possession. It's
you
in
can
your
walk around the
system.
southwest, pick a mushroom up, put it in your gob.
But they're not illegal.
It's a poison charge. Yes, it is.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a class 4 poison charge.
Okay. All right. So anyway.
Yeah, so libertarian.
So they're libertarian. So what they say, and it's almost akin to the Darwin theory, right?
Oh, I'm a big fan.
It's almost akin to the Darwin theory in that, like evolution over the years. I think part of the problem why we have too many people on this planet is we kind of model, coddle and protect the stupid ones.
Yeah, we should be throwing babies off the cliff.
I wouldn't say throwing babies off the cliff, but we, I don't, I don't know. I'm a visual person.
Yeah,
I actually seen that happening.
That's what the Greeks used to do.
Yes, they did. Well, look, Aboriginals used to, and most indigenous cultures around the world have always left their defective babies in the bush.
They did that in Vikings too.
And it was reclaimed by the earth.
And he became king.
Yeah. But it's so look. We have become much more civilized, and I get that. And a sign of of most societies is their ability or their capacity to look after their most vulnerable. Right?
Do you ever see the photo of polio children?
I've seen polio children. I work in disabilities. I've seen.
But you're here. Okay.
Yeah.
But the iron lungs. I'm sure I actually had it up last night. So there's back in the 60s or 50s, there was a neonatal ward.
Yeah.
Filled with iron lungs.
Yeah.
And it was just filled with children born with polio.
Yeah. So we don't get that now. Do you know why we don't get that now?
Vaccinate your children, people.
Vaccinate your children.
Fucking just vaccinate your children.
Vaccinate your children. Yes.
I'm a member of the anti-vaxxer group site.
Are you?
I'm actually a member of Flat Earth Society, the anti-vaxxer.
So what you're saying is that
I want to be.
What you're saying
I don't
is
go there
that
I don't go there to troll.
You're an infiltrator.
No, I listen to. I want to know
why they think that.
Why they're so fucked in the head. I want to know. I am an infiltrator. Yes.
You're an infiltrator.
Yeah,
that's what you are.
But only for my own. I'm not
educational purposes.
I'm not working for the government yet.
Yet.
But I'm a researcher. I do
There's nothing wrong.
Lots of research.
Nothing wrong with that. I honestly don't get why people truly believe, but it's an indication of how easy it is for people to be led blindly down the wrong path.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we've had so many examples of this throughout history. I mean, you look Jonestown. Trump that's a great example because people are being fed selective information. Right? And I think these organisations need to be held accountable for what they're doing. Right? This war on Islam has created radical Islamists. Right?
They're all iron lungs.
Yeah, see, that's shocking. And we don't get that today because...
My mum was trying to explain that to my 10-year-old niece last night, just before she went to bed.
Yes.
I'm like, Mum, don't fucking... She's going to have fucking nightmares.
Yeah, but that's what it was.
Yeah.
Look, my mum would tell stories of...
I'll show you later.
My mum was... So my mum was in her 80s, my mum and dad. My dad's just turned 85.
75, Mum.
right? And so they were around pre-World War Two.
My mum's born in 45, so just on the end of
so
it.
My mum and dad were born in the 30s, at the end of the 30s. And, you know, they remember how hard life is. I remember when technology was very...
I do too.
When technology was not part of the home.
I used to have to buy a magazine and spend 3 days putting fucking code into the computer so we could play Top Gun.
Oh, see, I remember being the television remote control.
No, when it was...
Andrew, get up, change the channel.
Oh, you didn't have the VCR with the fucking...
VCRs didn't even exist then.
We had the VCR with the cord, and all it was play, record, and pause.
No.
Like, it had three buttons.
We only had three
but
channels.
It was actually remote. It wasn't radio.
We only had 3 channels, and it was black and white. Yeah, 3 channels, and it was black and white. You know, there was a thing on Facebook last night was saying what was your earliest memory of a major news bulletin.
6 months in a leaking boat.
Mine was the moon landing.
Just like in a leaking boat.
Yeah, mine was the moon landing. Armstrong landing on the moon. I remember watching that. You know, I remember the first.
Still believe it?
Look. I don't know. It's a big. I mean,
here's
where if you don't believe it, then what does that suggest? Really, that someone went to all that trouble to hoax an entire planet, a entire population of people?
There is so many instances of false flag operations,
of
which
course.
are true, which are absolutely fucking true.
I know. I agree. But
it's hard to believe all
this
the
rest. This is why, right? Hashtag do not consent, do not participate, revolution now. People should have those 3 things in their mind daily.
Yeah.
Whenever they see something, they should be...
Pragmatism is
absolutely
to continually question things.
Constantly, and we don't do that.
Which is why I can't believe anything. I can't believe anything because I'm a pragmatist, because I'm eternally questioning things.
Well, I wouldn't say is you can't believe anything. What it should be...
I have no beliefs.
Well, no, I don't believe that.
I have no beliefs.
You have to have some belief.
This could be all an illusion.
Yeah, but it's not.
That's the extreme nihilist in me.
But that's
no.
How can it be an illusion? So what's that suggest? That there's no separate.
I'm good at life. I drive well. I can throw a ball. I can hit a bat.
Yeah. But do you not remember? Do you not remember the process of learning those things? Like, because if we were an illusion,
I do, yeah.
We would never have had to learn stuff. Because if we were an illusion, it would have been just created.
No, it's a really fucking good illusion.
It's an awful lot of. It's a big effort.
It's a really good. Yeah.
It's a huge effort.
Yeah.
For someone to go to.
Yeah.
Or something. To go to.
Maybe it's just all me.
So does that mean time is just relative then? Because I've been on this planet for 51 years.
I think time is speeding up.
Well, no, you know what that is. That's a perception thing.
No, they're measuring it. Speed of light speeding up.
Is it?
Yeah. Space is expanding.
Well, we always knew that. But we're talking milliseconds, right? We're talking.
It's
not nothing noticeable.
So there's 152 zeros, so it's 0.000 152, and then a 138. That's what they reckon is the that's the percentage of how much time is speeding up, they reckon.
Okay, but it's not going to be of any consequence to me.
That actually figures in every quantum mechanic. It's a constant. It's one of the. Yeah. Can't remember what constant it is, but it's not an observable. You won't know it.
We're not going to say.
No.
So it's not worth talking about.
Pretty much. They reckon that's the percentage of dark matter in the universe.
Theoretically, that's what they think.
I actually think that it's actually the percentage of the weight of a photon compared to a neutron. I don't think there's any dark matter. Everything. I think this is an electric universe. There is no such thing as gravity. Everything is Everything's electrical with its counteractive magnet.
Okay, so if there's no gravity, how do
It's
you?
a magnetic force.
So
There's a molten iron core on this Earth,
right,
and so if something has an electron
yes,
running around it,
yes,
there is also a magnetic force on it.
of course, yes.
It may be balanced, so
Okay.
therefore you cannot measure it.
Okay.
But every
Because look, there's some.
every atom has a magnetic
Yes.
element.
So there's some interesting theories around that with UFOs and their propulsion systems. Right, there's some really interesting YouTube stuff out.
I haven't dove too deeply
There's
on
some
the UFO
really,
things.
really interesting.
I do research a lot of energy stuff though.
There's some really interesting stuff that comes out. That's come out in regards. It's coming out now, and some of the latest stuff is that there's. I mean, you've had the Canadian. He was the Canadian Defence Minister. Can't remember his name.
I posted that up.
He does a world tour, talking about what he knows to be factual.
Was the energy minister?
No, I think he was the Defence
He's
Minister.
probably both.
He might have been. It's Canada. They like to.
Shout out to Canadians. I've got a few Canadians. On my watch.
My granddad was a Mountie in Canada. He was in the IRA and he was running away from the British Army, so he went to Canada and just hung out there.
My
for
mum's
a while.
maiden name's Bailey, so we escaped the English as well.
There you go. You know, I don't hate the English. I just don't like the monarchy. I mean, the English were the first people to be oppressed by the monarchy.
Yeah, we've all been slaves.
Yeah.
Nearly everyone.
And if we're talking about UFOs, it wouldn't surprise me if the monarchy were in fact actually aliens.
Reptilians.
Well, you know, whether they be reptilians or
I'm
otherwise.
not sure about the reptilian thing, but yeah.
They could be. We don't know. Because if your theory about this being an illusion is true...
Well, when you look at a embryo,
yes,
it looks like a fucking lizard.
Yeah.
They're exactly the same when you look at the embryo.
It's close. It's close, but we've evolved.
So have they.
Well, yeah. That's what money does. Yeah. But there's a definite distinction between monarchs around the world and us.
So Queen Elizabeth is the 32nd removed cousin of Muhammad.
She's German.
Muhammad.
Oh, really?
Through a Spanish king.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Moors. So Muhammad did his thing.
Well, she's German.
Yeah. They changed the name from.
Yeah, whatever it was.
But yeah, so Muhammad did his thing, and then they exploded, went across North Africa, invaded Spain, and one of the Muslims defected to Christianity in the Spanish Inquisition.
Right. As you would.
And married into the royal family. So yeah, so one of the grandsons of Muhammad is one of Queen Elizabeth II's ancestors.
Bastards.
Yeah. Talk to an English person, they don't fucking like that.
No, they don't. Because here's the thing. You know why? Because we're conditioned to rely on these things and not rely on ourselves. Which is getting back, because we've been...
Apathy?
No, we've been playing hopscotch with our topics today. So.
Oh, we have, yeah.
Yeah, which is okay.
Robust.
Getting back, give fluency. I think it's important. Getting back to what my concept for my show is that I don't want it to be... I want it to be inclusive, right?
Yeah.
I want it to be an open forum to be able to talk openly about what is going on or what isn't going on. Not conspiracy stuff, but just everyday stuff.
Disconnected from each other.
Yes, so everyday stuff. So, I want it to be inclusive and, I'd like, people to feel like they're a part of it, where if they're not a Dear Diary thing, but so let's say typically, like idealistically, there's there's Jim Jones, and I use that name.
Hey, Jim.
Use this name lightly, because we're talking about catastrophes, right? So you get Jim who works hard, has lived in a cooperative arrangement for the last 20 years, right?
Okay.
And what I mean by cooperative, him and his wife, or girlfriend or partner or whatever, partnership, it's a cooperative.
Yeah.
Because you're cooperating with each other to build an existence, to make it more comfortable than, to address all of those things that we don't really pay a lot of attention to. Our mental, social, sexual, physical well-being. Right?
The 4 needs.
We all need those, but we don't talk about them all, or we don't talk about them all properly. When we talk about
the lack of them leads us to be looked on as weak.
No, it's not even that. It's us believing what we see and hear and are told, and we shouldn't be doing that. What we should be doing is we should be questioning it. We should be going, okay, you have a right to say that, but you know something? Don't shove it down my throat, and don't tell me I have to teach my sons to not be this, that, or the other, right? And don't tell my daughters that they can grow up and live their life with that. They don't need a man. Right? Okay, if they choose to not have one, that's their decision. But the thing is, we need each other. Stop politicising our humanity. Stop doing it. So I want this to be a place where we can rehumanise, right, our humanity, our connection to each other. And the thing is, we are spiritual beings. We're spiritual animals. I suppose you can say we sit at the top of the apex. We're an apex animal. We've become very good at surviving. And we've become very good at surviving because we help each other out. Right? That's changing.
Yeah.
The last 10 or 15, 20 years.
Nothing you've said I can argue against.
That is all changing. And what's doing is that we've got these fat cats that are sitting in Parliament with draconian master entitlements, right?
Yeah.
Lord entitlements. Really? I mean, I can understand how in the UK that stuff still applies because there's a lot of nostalgia around that. But really, you took us.
Yeah, there was a lot more corruption.
Well, most of this country was built. This country was built on slavery, kidnapping, and oppression. They picked innocent people trying to survive, right? People that life was very hard back then. They picked them off the streets because how dare you?
They stole a loaf of bread for their family.
How dare you expect to survive? How dare you expect to have the right to be able to survive without me being in control of it? Because that's what life was like then, right? That's what life was like. People were just fodder. They were there to serve the elite. And this is, and I'm not going to. There's other nationalities on the planet that still think that way. Right?
Yeah, the caste system in India is.
There's a certain place in the Middle East that was created for a race of people that think the sole purpose of anyone that isn't of their faith or their genetic.
Are we talking about
is purely there to serve them. That to me is a very dangerous narrative to anyone to be.
Well, they're now bombing their local countries, aren't they?
They are. So, in saying that, that's the kind of space I want this to be, and so I want someone to be able to send in an idea, and say, can we explore this on the next show, and we can invite that person to come in, and they can sit and maybe say that, and if we've got a guy that goes, and the fun side of it is like, Jim has been single for a couple of years now and he's struggled through things and he's like, well, what am I, I want to start reaching out, going on a date, he's a bit nervous, he hasn't dated in 20 years because he's been married or, reaching out, we all like to do that. It's a prenatal thing. It's just like It's like that reflex we
Yeah,
talk about. We just do it like that now. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta sit
Right.
there. I gotta sit there tonight or I'll go to sleep at home.
Actually, do you know if you do someone that's drunk or someone that's asleep, if you do that, they will. Because it's embedded in us.
Watch out, Wesley.
So here's
My guitarist.
So here's the thing. He writes in and he goes, look, I haven't been on a date for ages. One of the things I found, which was incredibly overwhelming as a 42-year-old man, in the dating scene all of a sudden, and I thought I was quite confident, you know.
How long were we married?
14 years,
Shit.
right? So it's like, it changed. Everything had changed, you know. So, you know, it was all very different, and I had no idea what I was walking into. And that's dangerous for someone that isn't savvy about the rules, because it's very different now, you know. So
I fucking don't know what's going on now.
Right, so I'll give you an example.
I've been single for years.
Right, so I'll give you an example, which something was very shocking to me. There was a girl that I was interested in meeting, and I thought, oh yeah, you know, I should organise a date with her, and it was, you know, online, and I managed to sort of score a date.
Plenty of fish?
No, I can't remember what it was. I think it was RSVP or something, you know, I'm not sure. It was one of those things. It was a long time ago. And so, you know, got the date. It's going to be at a little country pub. Thought, beaut, you know, I put a bit of thought into what I was going to do. And, you know, so we rock up to this restaurant and we sit down, and nice bottle of wine. And we hadn't even been there 5 minutes, and she leans over and she goes, I'm going to take you home, I'm going to fuck your brains out.
Good girl.
Ruined my whole night.
Why?
Because in my head...
You should have just left with her right there.
No.
Yeah, let's go.
No, but I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared for that.
What?
I wasn't prepared for that. See, I was still living in my old perception of what I thought the dating world was. See, when I dated before...
So you're too nice.
Well, when I was dating before that, girls didn't do that. At least not the girls I knew. Right? Girls didn't do that. You know? You had to work for it. Right? You had to earn that sort of stuff.
Yeah, up to a point there was like
well,
fucking...
Yes, but this...
I just took my underwear off.
I only just met this.
Wink.
Yes, but I'd only just met her. Like, this was our first meeting.
Yes.
Like, we'd only just introduced...
Three of these.
But, look, you know, the meal hadn't even come out. The meal wasn't even on the table. And I put all this...
so...
It ruined
Going back...
It ruined my whole
How
fantasy.
did it ruin it? You just couldn't talk to her because you just
Well,
like...
no, because it was...
I have women in my life that are so beautiful that I can't talk to.
No, see, I don't. No one is so beautiful.
It wasn't like that.
No one is so beautiful that I can't talk to them.
So it didn't increase your anxiety.
It deflated. It deflated the whole process.
So you didn't
of
think that
courting.
she was worthy anymore.
Oh no, I don't. Don't get me wrong. I banged her for a few months, but you know, I mean, she was fun. You know.
So it ruined your night.
It ruined my night because I had a preconceived notion of what to expect in the dating scene. Because the whole generation had passed.
Yeah.
A couple of generations had passed before I find myself back in this scene. And this, you know, this was a so-called independent woman who, you know...
I heard a theory the other day of people research stuff only to back up their own opinions rather than to find the truth, usually.
That's because people that do that...
That's sort of the same thing.
Well, not really, because I didn't really research anything. I didn't think things changed.
Obviously, there was no research.
No, there wasn't any. I didn't think things had changed that much. And it might have been just one of those things. But I found there was... one of the problems that I found around all that, and I know it might seem a little shocking coming from a man, but I like the idea of getting to know a woman. I like the idea of developing some kind of a relationship, a friendship, an association. I like to know what I'm getting in for. And here's why. Because if I'm not a shallow person, I don't think I'm a shallow person. And I think very deeply,
Yeah, I think.
and I think I love very deeply as well. And so when it comes to that coming together of two naked bodies, it's a very intimate thing. It's a very, very intimate thing when you know, tongue wrestling is very intimate.
What did one woman say?
I usually only do that with like crayfish and
just fucking
crab
up the
claws.
ass. I'm going to sleep.
See, that's really.
She said that to me.
Yes, I know. Really, go and find another dick. There's dicks
I did.
everywhere.
I just left.
Oh, of course.
Went and had a shower, left.
Of course. Where's the spirituality in that? Right. So I found that all very debilitating. One of the things I found that helped me in this new world that I lived in was alcohol and drugs. Unbeknown to me, like I thought I was pretty savvy with drugs. You know, I would never have touched heroin because
Still haven't.
and neither have I. I would never have touched heroin because I knew the dangers of heroin. I knew what heroin did. I knew how addictive it was,
Yeah, that's nice.
and I knew all that sort of stuff. But you know, there was I was exposed to then, and here's the thing. I didn't have any networks because my life was about my wife and my children and my work. And so outside of that, I was null and void, right? It's very important for men to maintain those social connections outside of the marriage,
Yeah, absolutely.
outside of the relationship. And men often...
Because you lose friends, man.
You lose everything. And it's not only that. When more than 50% of relationships now end in divorce or break up, men are often left so isolated and destitute, they don't know how to cope. Right? They don't know how to cope. And, you know, this narrative about men being, you know, these mean, misogynistic, sexist wankers it's a myth. It's a myth. And it's a myth that is pushed by the feminist narrative. I mean, a radical feminist. I'm not saying someone that
not people that are going for equality.
Well, but I don't call them feminists.
They call themselves.
They call themselves feminists, but they shouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think
you
they
know
should either.
That's humanist. That's just being an independent human being.
I watched Black Klansman the other night, and there was like the Black Student Union was all about equality for everybody.
Yes.
Their narrative wasn't like for blacks, like.
But they were all black.
They were black power.
Yeah.
But their thing was equality for everybody.
Yes, but did they practice that?
I don't think they could.
Was there white people in there?
I don't think they could.
No. This is where identity. This is where identity politics gets a hold of a concept or an ideal, and restricts it from being its realizing its true worth and potential.
And then you have like the Murdoch media just playing it up against.
Well, and here's another thing: human beings can be very, when not held accountable. When people aren't kept accountable by their peers, which often happens when you get people becoming
responsibility.
Very powerful. Look, the thing is, there's nothing wrong with running from responsibility, because I think when you run,
there is.
Not really. As long as it's not bothering, as long as it's not affecting anyone else. If you run from responsibility, I think
it always affects someone else.
I think what you do is that you deny your own worth.
Yep.
You deny your own worth when you run from responsibility, because there's a certain amount of integrity in being a responsible human being, right? And that's not. Some people are responsible because everyone's watching them. They lack integrity, because when there's no one around, they're not as responsible. So integrity is about doing the right thing, even though nobody's watching, or even though nobody knows. It's like people that feed the homeless. You know, they go out and feed the homeless, and they've got, you know, oh, look at me. Oh, here, Mr. Homeless, downtrodden person. Look at you. Look at me.
Soup.
Hey,
Soup.
look how good I am. That is an insult.
Yeah.
That is an insult to humanity, not just to that individual, but to humanity, right? And it only takes one bad decision for someone to be here and end up there, because our society...
Well, we're 3 meals away from being wolves.
That's right. Because our society promotes that. You know why? To keep us compliant.
Yeah.
Right? Can keep us compliant.
You know, the guy that glued feathers on his arms to Icarus.
Right.
The story of Icarus was actually changed. Like the original story.
No, it was about melting and.
Yeah. So the original story was different to the one that they tell now.
Okay.
Like the now.
I've heard this story.
Now they say don't fly close to the sun.
Yeah, because you'll melt.
But the original Icarus story was completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, it was also.
They worked out.
It was also don't fly too low because you'll drown. Everything's about balance. And the thing is, everything's right in front of us, right? Everything's in front of us. The reason the establishment doesn't want us to be free thinkers is because it's hard to control.
Yeah.
It's hard to control a free man, right?
Very hard to control.
You can't control them. And the problem is that most... Look, for the best part, our government wants what's best for us. But only for its own benefit, right? Not for the benefit of everyone.
Yeah.
They say that, but it's but here's a perfect example of this fear keeping everyone afraid, and that's drugs. Now we're talking about the Liberal Democrats and how they have policies about. They go a little bit too far. They want to legalise everything. I don't think you want to legalise everything.
I think the Liberal Democrats is actually a misleading term. Just call yourselves libertarians. Come on, man.
Well, they do. They're and yes, I've said that to them. You know, I'd be with you if you didn't have that word liberal in there.
No, well, they're actually ultra conservatives.
Not really, because
libertarian is ultra conservatives.
Yeah, but they don't want to. No, they want to give.
It's a misleading term. It's like the Liberal Party. The Liberal Party are fucking conservatives.
They're conservatives.
They're not liberal at all.
Yeah, but the Democratic Liberal Party are not ultra conservative.
Libertarians are ultra conservatives.
Oh, they have some funny views. I don't know. Maybe I'm a libertarian. I don't think I'm ultra conservative. I think.
If you go too far around the circle, you come back around.
Yeah, true. So I think there's something to be said about people being responsible for the most part, for their own personal lives, right?
Yeah, everyone should have responsibility.
When those behaviours or actions or those decisions or rights that you think you are entitled to seep out of your own, outside of your own space, start affecting others, then I think there is a social responsibility from the community, not governments, but from the community, to be able to say, oh, hold on, that's not how we do things. That's not how we do things. Well, the government tells us that all the time. Our police force, for one. If you're doing something wrong and the copper sees it, he's like, excuse me, sir, but you're not allowed to do that. So I'm going to arrest you, or I'm going to fine you, or I'm going to penalise you in some way. Right? And that's all good. We need to have those things.
If it's just.
Right? If it's just.
If it affects someone else, I think. Like, go back to the libertarian thing. If it doesn't affect anyone else, I don't think it really should be illegal. And
that's their viewpoint. That's
my viewpoint too.
Right. So with drugs, there's a lot of fear.
And I'm a democratic socialist.
Yeah. Well, see, I've always thought I'm a democratic socialist. But again, I don't like labels, because I think circumstances. That's when you say I'm this. That's identity. That's you've identified as a particular.
I believe in democracy. And I believe that the government should look after the weak people.
I agree to an extent. I don't fully agree with democracy.
So
not fully.
Have you got something against mob rule?
No, well,
that's the main one that libertarians come up with.
Yes. So mob rule can be look at how.
Because we've got mob rule right now.
But
the mob is a very small percentage of people.
Well, no, we have a big mob that is controlled by a very small percentage of people. right? Because the mob is us, and we're controlled by
Either
what.
that or the money. The money's also.
Well, the money people, yeah. So we don't have any freedom at all, really, when you think about it.
Well, I've got.
Well, it's getting worse in America.
I've got a lot of freedom because there's no cop knocking on my door.
No, well, you've got a perceived freedom,
Maybe.
providing you follow the rules. But like, so you've had a good skinful of alcohol already, not a full skin.
About a litre and a half.
And that's I'd be on my ear if I'd had that right now. But you couldn't drive now.
No.
So if you drive, it's the responsibility of the community because you're putting everyone at risk.
Well,
So
I'm actually
I'm-
a very good drug driver.
Yes, but I'm all
But
for.
I don't do it anymore.
Statistics say
Yes, as you
Right.
say, that
Um,
people are shit.
people get that in
Yeah.
them, and they can't control these big, powerful, 500 horsepower vehicles or whatever.
Have you heard the Jim Jeffries argument about this? It's like someone took some drug and then she killed all her kids.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yes. And there's a certain amount of
It's
truth.
the lowest common denominator.
It's there's and we have
we have to drive at
we have-
60 because of shit people.
Yes, we have to. We have to.
There's shit people in
That's
this
right.
world.
Because, and to be honest with you, but here's the thing: we get to agree to that.
I agree.
We do get to
I
agree to
agree.
that.
I
and
don't
it-
want shit people running
I don't.
around
That's
100
right.
kilometres an hour.
No.
Yes.
So it is unfortunate that
Yes.
that's the case.
Yep.
But I take pride in the fact that I'm not that shit person.
Sometimes.
That laws don't have to be written specifically for me. Not
Yeah.
not anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
So it's a way you perceive it in different ways.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's all.
So
Context is everything.
it is. But I
But-
think we have politicians at the moment who aren't even trying to hide their corruption anymore.
No, they're not. They're fucking
not even
they're outwardly trying to get new donations,
Scott Morrison only a couple of
By-
months ago turned.
announcing new policies.
Yes.
That is fucking corruption.
Scott Morrison turned around not long after being
Just that name
appointed, and
makes me angry.
I don't say elected because he wasn't. He was appointed. Right? He's not an
No.
elected prime minister.
No,
he
he's
was-
not elected prime
He was
minister.
appointed, right?
But
and he was appointed by.
No, we elect parties,
No, we don't, well,
not prime ministers.
but we
we
think.
elect parties.
Yeah, but we don't know that. We're not. We don't.
We do.
No, people don't think they're.
Yeah, we do.
People think they're voting
Yeah, people
for.
think.
Well, we
But
do
they-
vote parties.
They just don't understand
it's
the
part of the.
political
It's
system.
part of the deception.
Yes.
It's part of the deception. So Scott Morrison, not long after being appointed, made a bit of a gaffe, a joke about doing something or saying something, how it might affect his future prospects
It's gonna get voted out.
with a Chinese corporation. I mean, really,
Well,
he should have been.
hang on. So he outed himself.
He did. He outwardly he joked. He was in.
Hang on. Don't
It
write
was
that
in,
down.
it was in jest, but he outwardly made a comment about. He said something. He goes, I hope that hasn't affected my future prospects for.
Do you remember the company?
No, I don't think it. But it was.
Chinese?
I'm pretty sure it was Chinese. I'm positive he said something about.
Alright, we'll look it up. Jamie. Hey, Jamie. It's not getting old yet, is it?
No. What I think there should be a voice back. Yes,
Don't
Scott.
press a button.
Yes, Scott.
Oh, well, I've got reason.
Right away, Scott.
I've got reason. I could bring the keyboard a bit closer and press the keyboard and like have the mate. No
But
worries.
for the-
Yeah, sure.
But here's the thing.
Oh yeah,
That's a good idea.
yeah.
So for this
I'd rather
kind of.
actually a Jamie here.
But actually, well, no.
researching it
You
for me.
actually have one sort of sitting in front of a computer that's off screen, and you go, "Oh, can you check on that, Jamie?" And Jamie checks on it,
Yeah,
and then a voice back comes back and says, "No, it's bullshit, Scott."
I'm actually usually the Jamie.
Yeah, but that's
I can't do two things at
no.
once.
But we can do that. You know, it's a great idea.
I'll probably be doing it during the live tonight
Yes.
because I'll have someone else here
Yes.
taking away the. Okay,
Yes.
I have this theory.
Yes.
I've had a couple of threesome relationships.
Yes. Okay.
2 women.
Yep.
1 guy.
Yep.
They're easier.
Yeah.
Way easier.
Yep.
Because the women talk amongst themselves,
They're comfortable with it.
and it takes all the pressure off the guy. And the guy's just like, this is so good.
Yeah. but it's not easy.
No, it's way easier.
No, I don't think so.
They get bored though.
No, that's because it's harder if you do it right. I've been in the same situation, and it's.
How do we do it well?
Oh, I've done it well.
I do it really well.
I've done.
But they implode. Oh,
No.
every relationship implodes. I've never had a relationship that's ended well.
No, I haven't either. Otherwise, you'd still be in it. But in that, my theory with the threesome with the two women is that you have to let the women be in control.
Oh no, that's fine.
And that's what you have to do.
I don't give a fuck.
That's the easiest part. You just let them do it,
Yep.
and
What are
be
we doing
prepared.
tonight? Okay.
And be prepared to perform. That's the hard part.
That's not really a worry for me.
Yeah, but I mean, perform at length. Like you have to be able to pace yourself in that situation. It's hard enough to satisfy one fucking woman, let alone two.
I'd come like six times a night, man.
Yeah, but it's not the same. It's not the same. You hold it off, and it's, and there's an art in doing that. I mean, at the moment, I'd be really poor at that, simply because I've been practicing celibacy now for
I'd need a good half an hour.
Nearly 4 years. And look, if a woman just touched me now, I think.
Fucking amateur.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think if a woman just touched me now, I'd.
What year is it?
One of my testicles would explode.
I think it's 7 for me, man.
Yeah, but I've used it to my benefit.
Yeah, so have I.
I've done some real good research around my celibacy. Not research around my celibacy. That's been pretty
I know
easy.
myself way better.
But just around women. No, I've learnt more about women being celibate than I would have ever learnt not being celibate.
I think I've learnt less.
I've learnt more. I've learnt more.
I think the more that I've been exposed to them, the more they become a mystery to me, which may be a good thing.
It is a good thing.
Maybe
it is. They are a mystery. But when you take away, okay, that's
Oh, take it. Oh, no, take it.
No, that's an alarm. So that's all right. It's
drugs.
I just got to take my lifesaver. Right.
Good old drugs.
This is a lifesaver. This one.
On it? Is it on it?
On it? No, I won't tell you what it is. That's just what I carried in. Alright, I don't need to drink heaps of water, otherwise I'll get indigestion.
I got water here.
Have you? Cheers. Otherwise it gives me heartburn. Reflux. That's just that's just a bottle of a supplement I was getting for a while. It's supposed to help burn fat and everything. It was just a scam.
Force factor.
Yeah, it's a scam. Stay away from it. Force factor. If you ever think it's worth, it's not.
Well, when the writing is too small for me, I've got really good eyes.
I've got bigger bottles, but that was a sample
really good
bottle.
Eyes. I've never, my nana had her eyes transplanted into a 30-year-old when she was 60.
Oh really?
I have really good eyes, and when I can't fucking read it, I don't trust it.
It was I showed it to my doctors, and all it is a combination of the vitamin B group, vitamin B12,
That's
vitamin
Morocco.
B7, vitamin B17, things like that. So that's all it was. So I just carry because I know I was coming out today. When I go out, I just put my 530 med in there.
When I got busted for drugs.
Never been busted for drugs.
They searched my place. I got busted bad.
No, they searched my place, but they weren't my drugs.
I had a big bottle of vitamin C in my car.
Yeah.
Didn't see any of it.
You what? They didn't see it.
It was all in there.
There was no vitamin C in there.
Oh, there was heaps of vitamin C in there.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, it was mixed in.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. They missed heaps of stuff.
Yeah, no, they raided my house. It was the best thing that ever happened to me, actually.
Did they find... So, they break the door?
Yeah.
Did they have to fix the door?
No. The reason being
they found a bud.
No.
Well, they found the smallest bit.
They found more than...
If they find anything, they don't have to fix the door.
No, see, basically what was is I had some... my drug dealer was renting a room. Right. He wasn't my drug dealer, but he was paying me rent and drugs.
One of you drug dealers.
Well, he was paying me rent and drugs. It wasn't really drugs. What it was is he was importing stuff from China that had never been seen in the country before, so therefore he would avoid prosecution if found with it. But the drug squad came to the door and he opened it, and when he said it was the drug squad, he slammed the door and fucking ran. So they just bang straight through the door. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning, which I was grateful that they didn't come too early. But
they come through my place 5 times.
They came in. They didn't find any drugs on me. I had a little bit of weed, and I showed them, and they were really good with me. I couldn't have faulted them at all.
They found a little bud in one of my places, and they didn't fix the door.
Yeah, no, they didn't fix the door. That was
My mate was actually working for the company that fixes the doors.
Oh, okay.
And he rang me and said, "I'm sorry for not fixing your door."
Yeah, okay. No, I didn't get anything like that. It was a dark day for me.
Yeah.
It was a very dark day, but it was the beginning. It was the beginning of my recovery.
Ah, good.
It was the beginning of
independence.
No, it was the beginning of a very long, hard journey that I had to take. And it was the day after that I realised I was the only one left. As I mentioned earlier, it's going to be the title of
nature of your book.
The title of my book. Being the only one left, because the day after that I'd had a complete breakdown. Like my house had got all smashed up, my car got smashed up, I got my head smashed up, and it was
dude?
No, it was one of his customers, because this guy was pushing bath salts.
Yeah, shout out to bath salts.
Yeah, and it's really scary stuff,
Research chemicals.
Yeah, well, they were researching their way all through my body, I can tell you. I don't think they found much. There wasn't much left of me by then, but it was sitting. I mean, today, sitting back, sitting here thinking about that. It was the 1st of May. It was the day before the 1st of May, which would have been the 31st of April. 31 in April?
January, February, March, April is the 30th.
30th, so 30th of April. Was a Friday morning. It was the 1st. It was the 1st of May. No, it was the 30th of April that the cops kicked the door in. They arrested this guy, took him away, and then later that afternoon, and I was in full addiction, full blown addiction at that stage.
Starting to come down.
I was asleep on the lounge, and I heard all this screaming, and then all this glass smashing, and I walked out, opened the front door, and there was
what do you think? You dobbed him in or something?
No, this guy was standing there.
Oh, his customer.
Sorry. Was standing at the door, completely losing his shit. And I opened the door, and he's like, where's this guy? I want my money back. And I'm like, he's not here. The coppers raided the house, and he just went smack, bang. And like, I was already in shock from the previous 12 hours. So,
always try and keep your distance from angry people.
Look, I was affected by drugs, and again, one of my problems in my using days was I was far too trusting, because I wasn't equipped.
I'm still far too trusting. I work at the raffles.
Yep, I wasn't equipped for that. And what happened is this guy had smashed all the windows in the front of my house, smashed the windscreen of my car.
And then you walked out and said, hey, it's okay.
And I walked out, and I'm like, what's going on? And he just went... I just walked right into it.
Yeah, fuck.
So anyway...
So you just woken up, eh?
Yeah, I'd just woken up. I was asleep on the lounge, and I was sort of on the come down. Fuck. So he left, and I had to sit in that house. It had been raining. There was a storm had just come. A storm had just rolled in. It was pissing down with rain, right? Wind was howling. There was thunder and lightning, and I had tint on the windows, so that half of the windows were sitting there in the wind.
Oh, the laminate.
Yeah, the tint, holding it all together. And it was just sitting there, the wind was, pushing it around. And I was sitting there with a hatchet and a hurling bat.
Yeah,
all,
I've got a couple of hatchets over here.
all night sitting there, and I was terrified. I was literally terrified.
Oops.
It's
Sorry.
this is going to go. This is definitely going to go by the end of the night.
No, it's fine.
You know?
This is actually my go-to. It's an axe with the bayonet.
Right. Okay. Right.
But yes, I understand the whole sitting there with the hatchet, waiting.
I just thought someone was going to come back.
Come.
Yeah, and I was not in a good mental state. Like, I was broken. I was about 50-something kilos. I was covered in shingles. I was really, really sick. And
50 kilos is like
half of what I am now.
it's fucking bones, man.
I was a skeleton with skin wrapped around it. With skin.
My ex-girlfriend's was 47 kilos and fucking wasn't much to her, and she was shorter than you,
man. I'm 6 foot, so anyway, that and I remember locking myself in my room, still with the hatchet and that, and heard this guy come back, and then he grabbed some stuff and then left, and then the next day him and his girlfriend
so your housemate came back and obviously not the case.
It was very quick. I didn't come out.
Yeah.
And then because he had been arrested, he'd been in the cop shop all day, and his girlfriend's mum come and picked her up. Everyone just ran, basically.
Yeah, I know how it is.
You know how it is, And so the next day he comes back with his girlfriend. See, they were supposed to move out the next day, on the Friday, and it was my plan was, once he's gone, I'll clean myself up and I'll get my shit together again, because I'd done that before. And that was my plan. But I didn't plan on getting my head kicked in and the house being smashed up, or the police.
No one ever expects the Spanish Inquisition.
No, but here's the thing. I'm glad that the police came that day and not the next day. Because the next day this guy would have been gone. You know what I'm saying?
So it was moving out that day,
The plan was they were moving out. And I was supposed to go...
So you're glad the cops busted you on that day?
Yes, yeah.
Because it's now set you on this...
Set me on this course. Because what happened, I was supposed to go to my son's wedding the next day. And I couldn't go because my house had been smashed up and my car had been smashed up. But here's the thing. I was in no state to go to my son's wedding. Right? So I didn't go. It was very painful for him because there was an empty seat with Dad. And of course I didn't turn up. And
made it up to him?
Yeah, we've made it up now, pretty much. He understood, I think. He understood what was going on.
No, it's good.
And that was the start of a really painful, long, hard journey. So when you hear people refer to people as just fucking junkies, and these people are in a really tough place.
They're fucking people, man.
And they're in a really tough place.
Yeah.
Like no one
don't know way out.
There is no way out. There is a way out, but I help people now find a way out, but it's hard. It's not an easy journey. It's really difficult to pry yourself out of the clutches of addiction. It's really hard. And we're all addicts, and I often have people say to me, I'm alright, I'm not an addict, and they'll smoke. And I go, well, why do you smoke? I can stop any time.
If I didn't have my mum, I'm just about to cry.
Yeah.
If I didn't have my mum,
yeah,
I would be worse than you.
Yeah. That's it, man. It's really hard. It's really, really hard. So it's a tough journey, and it takes everything you've got. Everything you've got. And for me, I got very sick, and my situation had become life-threatening. And I remember laying on that journey, and it was at that point I realised, on the gurney in the ED, my brother found me. I was walking along the street, just lost, because this guy and his girlfriend came back and started to attack me. And started blaming me like it was my fault.
Day 2 or 3?
The next day. And instead of... Because I had a complete breakdown by sunrise.
Right, you sitting there with that fucking hatchet in the darkness.
I'd had a complete breakdown by sunrise, and I remember just sitting there, and I was just sitting in there looking out through the broken window, going, can someone help me? And you know, can someone help me? Can someone help me? And it was under my breath. And they just rocked up and started cleaning up like nothing had happened. Because they were like, you know, just like business as usual.
Mm.
And then the girlfriend came around and said, "What, did you say something?" And I said, "Yes, can someone help me? I need some help," you know, because I knew that I was. And he came in and started to really berate me. And I remember thinking,
how much of this was your fault?
it was all my fault. He was blaming me. "This is all your fucking fault," he's saying. He was the dealer, right? And he started. He was.
You reckon you fucking dobbed him in or something?
No, he knew I didn't dob him in, but it was all my fault, and it was all. But you know, he was a narcissist. He didn't want to take responsibility for what he was doing.
Narcissism.
And no, he was actually a psychopath, because it's well planned. I mean, he didn't even get charged because he was bringing drugs in through the dark web from China. And so when they sent it off to the lab, it came back. The lab came back and it said, "Well, we've never seen this drug in the country, so therefore there's no law against it. There's no law."
Research.
There's no law.
Research chemicals.
No law to. So I was on that, and they referred to as bath salts. So the detective was really good with me. He helped me a lot through that. So I just walked out of the house because I had two choices: either get up and kill him, which I wasn't really in a condition to do, but I had enough left in me to do that.
I walked away from similar situations.
I had enough in me to do that, but I just got up and it was my first level of surrender. And I walked, I didn't know it at the time, but in hindsight it was my first level of surrender.
Well, it's surrendering.
It was surrender. It was, because if I didn't surrender...
I just doing the best thing for yourself.
If I hadn't have surrendered, I would have killed him.
Wow, what are you surrendering to yourself? You know I have big issues with the word surrendering.
Okay, so have you heard surrender to win?
Surrendering is what?
Surrender to win. So when you're in this situation...
tactical retreat.
It's not even a tactical retreat. You surrender to win. So I accept the fact that...
I refuse to surrender to anyone.
I was just like this.
Straight out.
I was like this too. Absolutely. I get you 100%.
I've been through the same things that you do, and
So I walked out, and my brother I came across my brother, and I just sort of broke down then, and he took over. And I remember we were walking back to my mum and dad's house because he lived at my mum and dad's then, and he said, "Aren't you supposed to be at John's wedding?" And it was the reality hit that I was
John being your son,
my oldest son. And so he took me back to my mum and dad's, and and then I could hear him on the phone to my brothers or sisters or something going, "What do I do? What do I do?" See, the thing is, everyone watched me get to this point. Everyone watched me get to this point. Everyone knew what was going on. Everyone could see that I was in serious trouble. But no one knew.
Well,
no one knew how to address it.
Well, you weren't asking for help.
No, but an addict will never... And that never will. And the thing was, I wasn't asking for help because I had a plan. You know, I had a plan. I mean, I'd done this before. You know, I'd done this before. I cleaned myself up before. My relapse happened because of this guy moving into my house. Right? Because the drugs were there. I remember...
so you allowed it?
I allowed weed.
And they were... just weed.
So I said, like,
so was there more than weed?
No, mate. My rule.
Weed. This was all about weed.
My rule. My rule was no drugs. Right. So he was a friend of one of my other sons. Needed somewhere to stay, and I had spare. And I'm like, yeah, as long as there's no drugs, right? And it's like, no, he just smokes a bit of weed. And I'm like, well, I'm okay with that because I was still smoking a bit of weed then too. Problem was, it wasn't just weed; it became other things. Yeah. And he was basically one of the most evil people. Very dangerous man. So anyway.
What year was this? 2005?
No, this was in 2014.
Fuck, it was 9 years after I got busted.
2014. So from there, no one knew what to do with me, you know. And it took me... It took me 8 months from that point, May 1st, until October the 12th, to walk into a rehab. And that was me wanting it.
So what was the first date?
May the 1st.
Fucking 6 months.
Right? It took me May 1st to get into a rehab. On October, not August. October the 12th.
I still haven't been to rehab. Yeah, man, that's fucked
Rehab
up.
was the hardest thing I ever did. Rehab was one of the hardest things I ever did.
It switches off every 25 minutes.
It switches off or switches on?
No, the programming for the Nikon cameras, they couldn't sell them as video cameras, so they switch off.
Really?
On,
Yeah, okay.
So
Right. It's taking photos, isn't it?
it's actually recording video.
Oh, okay. No, that's fine. So that's
So how was rehab?
terrible.
I don't know that.
Very confronting. So here I am, 2015, I would have been a 47-year-old man. Right?
Mm.
So that was 5 years of addiction, 5 years of using from start to go.
If that's Anthony, don't fucking answer him.
I don't think it's Anthony.
He's been messaging me, just
Is he?
let him go.
What's he going on about? He hasn't messaged me.
That's okay.
So he, so that was very confronting. Rehab, really, really
Don't
confronting. But it, I had to learn some humility in there. You know, it was hard work. But the hard work didn't really start until after I left rehab.
Usually.
You know, I mean, rehab was hard because I was being judged and scrutinised by 29 other addicts. So it was a therapeutic community.
It's like a circle.
It's a therapeutic community. The problem is that I copped I copped a battering because I went into rehab with a fairly successful life behind me.
Yep.
And there was a lot of people in there that didn't have that. There was a lot of people in there that never knew never knew what I had. Yeah, you know, there was people in there that were so adept to survival, and they were good at it in those circumstances.
Yeah. Well,
I wasn't.
What is it? I'll think of it, but bad things breed good people, like or responses to.
Not always. Some of them were just.
I've just massacred that quote.
Yeah, you did.
Sorry.
Some of them were really. There was just some really tragic stories in there.
Yeah.
And you look at like there was some women that they were really sad. Some of the females. It's harder. I don't know if it's harder or not. It's easier for a female to be an addict than a male. It's easier for. It's easy. When I say easier,
I don't know.
it's
Maybe.
it's easier to enable your addiction if you're a female, because you've got tools that are assets
Yes.
that you can trade.
I think that's a very good way of.
Yeah. You can trade that. What happened?
No, I think that's the audio's still going.
Yeah.
I just need to change the battery. I think it's a very good way of actually phrasing what you mean. So drug dealers are normally men.
Normally, some are women.
And
You get a few that are women now.
well, I was a male drug dealer, and I had women. They were on the go. Like.
Yeah, and they'll do anything for that drug. You know? They'll do anything.
It
for
was
the
easy.
drugs. Of course it is.
It's very easy.
I know in the beginning of mine, when I was cashed up, you know, I was having women offering all sorts of stuff.
Yes.
And silly me, with my ideals and my
I
morality.
was just jumping from woman to woman.
Oh, see, I didn't. My morality, I suppose you could call it, was that, you know, you don't need to do that. You know, I'm happy to share my drugs. Well,
I'm a very generous person.
that cost me big time. I reckon I attracted every crack whore from a 100 kilometre radius, and they all just zoomed in on me.
Yeah, so did I.
Zoomed in on me.
Like,
Robbed me blind.
Well, I didn't really give a fuck if they were robbing me or anything. I just want a good time. Like, I was giving my guy $35,000 a week.
No, I wasn't a deal.
So I was $60,000 a week.
I refused.
Minimum,
I refused to deal.
Like in turnover.
No.
Well, it's very easy for me because so I had a contact, and I didn't do it for like. I had the contact, didn't do it for like 4 years.
Mm.
And then all my mates were just giving me stories about how they're getting ripped off. They were getting ripped off, and like fucking blah blah blah. Actually, I could make a call and get it here.
Mm.
And it just snowballed.
Doesn't take long.
I was never really in it for me, hence why I don't have any money.
Yeah.
I didn't make any money out of it when I was there.
Yeah, it cost me.
I just had a good time.
It cost me everything. Everything it cost me.
I had a great time. So when I got busted, yeah, my world fell apart. All my friends left. And
Yep.
I'm still going. Yeah, there was most of my friends from there are still haven't seen.
Yeah, right. Because you're very isolated in that drug world. It's a very selfish world.
Yeah. I used to pay people in pills to come and clean my house.
And they'll probably do a good job in case you joint out while they're doing it.
I had a guy that used to come around my place every couple of weeks and go, "Can I clean your car?"
Yeah.
Because
there'd be stuff stuck under the chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, they never do that. Look, addicts won't ever do anything for nothing. Their end goal is the next hit, always.
Yeah.
It's the end goal. Is the next hit. Where they getting the next drink, the next pill, the next hit, the next shot, the next.
Sometimes
whatever.
it's worth more than money to them.
It is worth more than money.
Yeah.
It is worth. It's worth more than their life.
They're
actually prepared to die for it.
My worst addiction was actually nitrous oxide.
Yeah, I never.
Nangs.
No, never.
So
did
you get
it.
like a soda canister.
Right.
Like make soda water with it.
Yep. Yeah, I know those.
And get these nitrous oxide canisters.
Yep, seen those.
Yeah, reality was not real for like 6 hours a night.
Really?
I'd be
What would
breathing
it
nitrous
do?
oxide.
Is that the one that makes your voice go all funny, or?
So you're actually suffocating your brain from chemically from the inside.
Right.
You're dying.
Right.
You're
okay.
initializing death every time you breathe. So you breathe in nitrous oxide. There's oxygen in it.
Yeah.
But there's no available oxygen. So it replaces oxygen in your blood with nitrous oxide.
Right.
The chemical nitrous oxide.
Yeah.
So, and then the blood goes to your brain.
Yes.
And you're actually, that cell doesn't get any oxygen.
Right.
So it's
so effectively
suffocating yourself from the inside.
It's like
remember the T-tail?
It's like a self-initiated stroke. To a degree.
I've never had a stroke.
I've had 3.
Was it on both sides of your face?
Both sides of my brain. Yeah. Yeah.
That was a joke.
It actually was.
That didn't come out fucking right.
Well, you were right.
It didn't work. I was actually going to say that the other night when you said you had 3 jokes.
Right. I have.
I'm going to save that up.
I've had 3 strokes, and I've had them on both sides of my brain, which is unusual. In fact, it's a miracle that I'm actually sitting here talking to you as coherently as I am.
Yeah, fucking. That didn't work out right.
No, it didn't, did it?
But yes, so you're suffocating yourself chemically through your blood.
Right, okay.
I think that the hallucinations that you have on it is actually DMT.
Right, what do you mean?
So, when you're just about to die, your body creates DMT.
Where's DMT?
Dimethyltryptamine.
Right, okay.
If you've never had DMT, so we used to. So I've actually had a kind of whole DMT before.
Right.
Like have a bong, and you can't even see the bong when you're trying to put it down.
Right.
And then you just drift into this I don't know if you've seen any animations where there's like the goddess, and like the all-knowing, all-knowing goddess.
It's a Hindu thing.
Yeah. Well, there's plenty of DMT running around India.
Oh, absolutely.
The burning bush was an acacia plant.
Yes.
That's DMT.
Yeah. Okay.
So your body actually
The one, what you're talking about? The Moses one.
When you're dying.
You're talking about the Moses burning bush. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you're dying, your body creates DMT. And that is the spiritual thing.
Okay.
It's a chemical.
Right.
And I think that long periods of nitrous oxide actually initiates this DMT experience in your body, and that, like, I drank, I've had many other drugs, but holy shit, nitrous oxide was the worst addiction I've ever had. Like I'd go, I'm gonna have a 10-minute break, drive from my work to the corner deli that sold me 10 boxes for $80, and I'd sit there for the next half an hour and just go.
Oh, really?
And just for the next,
Sure.
horrible, fucking horrible, but it's legal.
Yeah, right.
It's still legal.
Is it?
Yeah, it's cream charges. They make cream out of it.
Yeah, no, I've seen the canister. My mum used to get it years ago.
They can't take it away because it's so inbuilt into the food industry.
Yeah, that's right. Like alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
5 years, I think. 5-6 years.
Right.
I've been clean of that.
Yeah, nice.
I actually hid my...
How'd you get off it?
I hid my Nanganator up there.
Nanganator?
I said to myself...
What's a Nanganator?
It's the soda stream. It's the soda bottle.
Okay.
So you screw in the thing, and it's just a canister that it dumps the pressure into,
Yeah.
and then you can have it. Because if you took the pressure straight away,
It'd blow.
It burns.
Yeah.
No, it burns your lips.
Oh, would it?
Yeah, it's so cold.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe the pressure would have been like a dart.
No, it just burns your lips. It's
right.
so,
Okay.
Like
nitrogen.
I hid my Nanganator up there. Well, it's not the first place I did it. Well, it wouldn't have been 5 years ago then.
Yeah, right.
3 years ago. I've now sold it. I don't have it anymore.
Oh, excuse me. Okay.
I told myself I wanted to stay awake.
Awake.
I wanted to be awake to the world.
That's why you stopped doing it?
Well, you'd have 10 nangs, and you'd actually fall asleep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Through the lack of oxygen.
Yeah.
So you'd pass out, basically.
Yeah. You'd pass out like halfway through it.
Oh, right.
You're continually passing out. You're continually suffocating yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, continually, and then you'd like.
Really?
No, it's horrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So $80 would get you 100 nangs.
See, I'd never get addicted to anything like that. I wouldn't
That's your luck.
I couldn't see. See, for me, what got me addicted, which was meth, and I had never tried meth before.
I didn't until I was 25.
I didn't even know it I didn't never heard of it. You know, I knew about all the other drugs, but I never knew anything about that. And part of that was because I wasn't part of the general social construct of what was going on around within my own community. You know, I mean, I was married with kids and I worked, and that was my life. You know, I did shift work, so if I got a weekend off, I'd book a room in the city, and my wife and I would get a babysitter, and we'd go out, nice restaurant, have a nice meal, and go and, you know, because we had a house up in the hills, so it was too expensive. It was cheaper to get a room in if we were going into the city, you know, because we had a beautiful house up in Mount Chelino. But so when all that went, apart from the depression and all that sort of stuff that comes with it, and not being able to cope and being quite isolated, you know, and I had money, because I was at that point in my life where I'd worked most of my life and I paid everything off. The house.
Never been there.
We owned the house.
Wow.
And we sold it for $500,000.
Was that afterwards?
2012, $500,000. Beautiful big house on a property up in Mount Helena, and
how much is it worth now?
probably be worth 900, maybe less.
Yeah, you can't kick yourself over that.
Yeah. Look, I had no choice. My ex-wife wanted her money, and
You'd just be moving into another place
well, I did. I bought another place,
with
and
same sort of value.
well, I bought a place down, and I had resentment over that, and I rented those rooms out. That's what brought me the drugs.
Resentment?
No, renting the rooms out.
Oh.
Yeah. That's
Exposing yourself to other cultures.
So basically my house was my safe place, and I blended my safe place with, and that was after a relationship, because my marriage ended. I had a relationship for 2 years with what I thought was a beautiful woman. I fell in love with her, and and then that ended, and that just doubled my. I mean, now looking back on that, it was purely a codependency thing, because I was afraid to be on my own, and I did love this woman. I mean, she was toxic for me, but I tolerated that, and that's the narcissist and the empath relationship.
Yeah.
See, I'm an empathic person. I'm not a narcissistic at all. But she was a narcissist.
No, I'd rather do stuff for other people than.
Well, she just she kind of played with my head, but it was I thought it was a great relationship because the sex was unreal, and we got on really well when we were together. But when we weren't together, that's when everything else became. I was a cheater, and she worked away, and whenever she was away, I was.
Usually when people are.
I realised that. And
I just want to tell the audience. Usually, when people are accusing you of something, they're usually doing it.
So
blah blah blah.
So anyway,
not to say that was actually happening.
It was probably likely. Anyway, it doesn't really matter one way or the other. I wasn't a well person, and I had no business being in another relationship so soon after my marriage ended. Because it was. I
don't think I have any business being in any relationship, even this one.
No. So it was. It was inspiring in hindsight. It wasn't at the time. I was really isolated, and I was hurting. And for men, here's the thing that's very crucial for men. When men are hurting, they hurt everyone around them.
If they have.
Eventually.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about physically, but when men are hurting,
I think
it seeps out.
I think it's also the same for women.
Yeah, but women do it differently.
They still hurt people though.
Yeah, women do it a little differently. I mean, I can't really speak for women. I can't really have an opinion on that. I can only talk from my own experiences as a male, and I'm sure as human beings we all do the same thing, but
when anyone hurts, like everyone around is hurting.
So for me, initially I was hurting, but so there was a suicide attempt, right? And I failed at that.
Your suicide attempt?
My suicide attempt. So I'm a suicide survivor, and I failed at that miserably. And but here's the thing: this is how the system lets you down. So I ended up, and there was people tried to help me then as well, but they didn't know how to. So what they did is I was, taken to the emergency department, because people think, that's where you go and you're going to get help. It's not what happens, right? Emergency department patch things up, send you on your way. They're under too much pressure to provide assistance that way. They'll keep you alive. They'll stop you bleeding. They'll, do that, and then they'll send you away. And then hopefully somewhere else you'll be able to access something that's going to give you some real help. It's not reality. That doesn't help. It doesn't happen.
Kicking the can down the road.
It just keeps happening because the whole system is under too much pressure, and it's simply the reason that is because it's becoming Americanized. and we'll talk about that a bit later. So
Neoliberalism.
right, so that didn't work, and I spent one night in a mental health ward. I tell you, it was just that.
Here in Perth?
Yeah, it was mental.
Shannon Park?
No, it was at Swan. Mental. Like, and no one gave a shit. Like, I was stuck in a room. I was stuck in a facility full of nutcases wandering about. I'm depressed. I'm suicidal, and I'm like really lost. You know, really, really lost. And I'm stuck in this place. And then I had to stay there a night, and I had to share a room with a young bloke who was obviously really struggling. And I had to hear him. They gave me medication to sleep, and it knocked me out, and I slept, which was great. This kid, he never spoke, but he moaned and groaned all night, and he was obviously not well. I had to share a room with, which I could have been fucking anybody. I mean,
they don't do background checks.
He could have been fucking anybody, you know. Like,
they don't do background checks.
No,
on those sort of people,
they just put me in there with this young bloke. I mean, I would have been alright.
Good luck with that.
If he had to come anywhere near me, I would have killed him. But he could have been a psychopath, you know. As some of them were, there was one guy there who was awfully happy, like he was elate, very happy. And I remember saying to him, I called him Mad. His name was John. Mad John, I called him. He was a true nutcase. I said to him, "Why are you so happy and positive?" He went, "It's the drugs." He's on the phone.
It's the uppers, man.
He's on the phone and he's talking to someone, and this obviously person's going, "Where are you, man?" He's going, "Oh, look, I'm on a break."
I'm at work.
I'm on a break. I'm on holidays. And that's when I said to him, "Man, why are you so upbeat?" And somebody, it's like, "Oh, it's the drugs. This is twice a year. I book myself in here."
Oh, it's voluntary.
It's voluntary, the whole thing. You know? And he does. He escapes reality in this place.
I know.
And it's just...
I've known plenty of criminals that don't like life. They just go to jail. Like,
yeah.
Punch a cop so they go to jail for 5 years.
Exactly. So anyway, so I had to be assessed before they'd let me out, right? I mean, I could leave any time, but I had to be assessed. So I'm being assessed, and they're asking me to talk through what I did, my suicide. So it was basically about. So I tried to gas myself in the car, hose in the.
That's the worst fucking way to do it.
I had no idea what I was doing. So I tried to do that, and I didn't do it right. I did it all wrong. And one of them sits there, and
someone got you, or
someone did. I wake up the next morning, and the windows were down. The motor was off. So I think one of my sons come out and turned it off.
Wow.
And he was 15.
Holy shit.
And my sister, who was in Albany, was on the phone to him, and there was stuff going on because before I did it, I sent text to my sister and to my ex-wife. Just basically that I'd had enough and it was done, and there was a couple other things that had gone on as well that led me to that. And so this psych turns around and he says, so talk us through what you did. And I did, and then he says, and you know what? So, and you taped up all the windows, and you sealed all the doors, and you taped up the thing to the exhaust.
You're obviously pretty fucking serious about it.
And I went, no, was I supposed to do that?
What?
Like he told
so
me.
He's asking you.
No, he's telling me how. He's going on. Did you do this and did you do that? And I'm like,
you don't have to do that.
I'm like, no. And he went, and I said, was I supposed to do that?
Yeah.
Is that why I'm here? And I'd lost faith in the system. Do you know what I mean? Like that guy, those three guys had lost credibility right there and then.
So was it a lawyer or who?
No, they were psychologists.
Oh, psychologists.
I'm in the mental health ward.
Oh,
I'm in a mental health facility on a suicide watch.
Well, they're trying to fucking reinforce you.
They've just told me what I did wrong.
Yeah.
Why I didn't succeed.
Fuck?
Exactly.
If this was a courtroom, I'd understand that.
Yes, but it wasn't.
But no.
This was I was on suicide watch.
What the fuck?
And the next day, that's what they're saying to me. And he talks me through it, and they're telling me, and
next time,
I'm like,
do it better.
This is how you do it next time.
Fuckheads.
Yes. and then send me on my way. And on top of that, like my brother brought me in there, my older brother brought me in there, and there's this little woman who kept running around going to me and coming up to me and flashing her tits, right? I wasn't in a
I used to
good
be a bartender. That used to
I
happen
was
all the
not,
time.
yeah, but I wasn't in a good state, you know, and I was getting annoyed, you know, I'm going, go away. And my brother goes, I'm jealous, like, what's wrong with me? He had humour and stuff going on. I was not in a good place. It was very difficult.
Maybe that's why that happened to you.
That was with the start. That was the start of it all there. And that was the start of me feeling like, that was the start, and it's only in hindsight I can say this, but that was the start where I started to feel isolated. Like I didn't have anyone on my side.
Yeah.
No one was batting for me. And then through that, and then it was after that I met the, I think I'd already met the Irish woman. Yeah, something I don't, it was all, she didn't know about the suicide attempt.
Ex-girlfriend?
No, I'd only just met her.
Irish woman?
No, I'd only just met her. She was after the marriage ended. I'd only just met her. I hadn't known her long. And my sister's come up from Albany and helped me clean the house and everything. And I was supposed to meet her, and something. And that's when she started. That's when she accused me of being deceitful. She didn't believe that my sisters had come up. I was going to meet her, and I said, "Oh, my sisters have just rocked up from Albany, you know, and I've got this." And she's like, started accusing me of being up to something else.
Because your sister's there.
She didn't believe that my sisters were there. And so what I did...
And she's on some mine site.
No, she hadn't started working in the mines then.
Oh, okay.
And then, I'm in Fremantle with my sisters, and I text her and I say, come up, my sister's here, they'd love to meet you. And she finally did come, and she met my sisters then.
How many years?
Oh, we'd only been together a month or so.
Okay.
Few weeks. Not even. It was only a couple of weeks. And so, and then I plodded along in this toxic relationship with her for a couple of years. And then when that ended, I travelled to Ireland. We were supposed to travel together, and she dumped me 2 weeks before we went. And I'd borrowed money to go there. Then I got back. I still had the marital home, and found that while I was away, my ex-wife had fooled the real estate agent into opening the house for an inspection, and her and her mother rocked up and started emptying the house, right? And he wouldn't let her in my room. You know, my sons were still living in the house then with me. You know, they were 15 and 16. So the real estate agent
was there.
He went in there. He wrote me.
I've never known real estate agents to be that good.
Nah, he let them in, but he said he couldn't stop them because she
legally entitled to.
She threatened to call the police. You know.
Oh yeah.
And so he says, look, I couldn't do it. He says, but if it ever comes down to a court hearing or anything, he says I was ropeable. He was really pissed off that it had been set up like that, and I said that's fine. I said she only took like slow cocaine, chick things, you know. Like I didn't even care. It was the principle.
They're different to us, aren't they?
They are. That's what she stole. I mean, I would have taken the lounge and the big TV, and she didn't take any of that.
Yeah,
stereo.
pretty much TV, computer.
Yeah, she didn't take any of that stuff.
I've fought pitched battles over someone that wanted to smash my computer up before.
Yeah. So so that happened, and then the holiday didn't turn out as well as I expected. I had to change my plans while I was over there. I mean, it was a good holiday. I'm glad I did it. But I changed my last 2 weeks and went to London, and that's when I tried cocaine. And
was it real cocaine or Perth cocaine?
Oh no, it was London cocaine.
London cocaine.
Top shelf London cocaine.
Did you feel like Superman?
Mate, I felt like 4 Supermans.
Yeah, good cocaine makes you feel like Superman.
Oh, mate, I tell you what, because what it was, I spent 5 weeks with a retired squad of IRA men. It was a great holiday.
Retired IRA.
Yeah, well, yeah, they were.
It's like hanging out with the SAS soldiers down the road.
Yeah. It was a really interesting time. These men were. So I was living with my oldest cousin, and he was their commander. These boys were like that, right? They did Long-Kesh together. H Block was where Bobby Sands and Hungry Strikers were. Yeah. So he had done that. He'd been interned. Anyway, these guys, they were so tight and they were so well known, and it was an experience that...
Might be a bird.
Where?
So I thought Anthony said he was coming around.
Right.
And I think a bird's...
Okay. So it was such an interesting holiday.
That I'm hallucinating.
Probably hallucinating.
Yeah. It could be.
It could be a memory thing, talking about the nitrous oxide.
Flashbacks.
Could be.
I've taken way more acid to have flashbacks. I've never had
So anyway, I was supposed to be flying out of Cork because we had booked our holiday together, me and this chick. And so I changed my flight because we had a family reunion. And my cousin, London cousin, said, you should come back to London with us, you'll have... Because I was miserable the whole time I was there. I wasn't having a lot of fun, and I got myself into a bit of trouble. I ended up at the wrong side of town, and I got drugged, and... Anyway, over a woman. Anyway, I was lucky to survive that. I don't know how I got out of that. And my cousins are going... And every time I go to Ireland, it'd be the same, and no one could believe I survived what I survived.
Yeah.
But I did, for the grace of God. And so I changed my plans and flew to London with my cousins and had the best time for that 2 weeks.
Oh, good.
The best time. I didn't want to leave.
When they said that, it's like probably got your fucking best in mind.
They did. They said, come back to London with us and, we'll party. And they looked after me like... So we're driving the first day there. We fly into London. I go to my cousin's got this beautiful big house in Kent, right? Beautiful big bungalow property. He's pretty well to do. He's got his own company and stuff, And we were going out to a karaoke to this nice, swank little bar on the Thames, And we're driving there, and he goes, Andy, do you like older women? And I'm like, well, how old? And he goes, oh no,
if they're women,
there's going to be a lady there that's they'd set her up for me in particular. She was a nutcase actually. She was an ex-nun. She was a fucking nutcase. Best fun in the world, mate. Best fun in the world.
Ex-nun.
Oh, I tell you, she was the best fun. She was fucking nuts, and she was just like a little rocket. Gee. She was like a little rocket, right? Absolutely amazing, but a nutcase. She was not right. She wasn't right in the head, but best fun. So I'm sitting outside having a smoke, beautiful setting, and my cousin's son, his oldest son, is out having a smoke with me, and I said to him, look, I don't know if I've got the energy for this, like I'm just been back to back because in Ireland I'm drinking, getting shit faced every day.
I need time to refill.
And I says, is there any chance you can maybe get me a bit of a pick-me-up, something, just give me a little bit of a lift. Because I'm not going to get through the night, He goes, yeah, what do you want? And I says, look, I don't know, what do you guys...
What's the go?
What do you guys do here? And he says, well, we can get some cocaine, And I says, oh, yeah, what's that like? He says, oh, well, we've got 3 tiers. And I says, what do you mean? He's going, well, you've got the poor man's cocaine. You've got the middle...
Which is just crushed up
whatever. He says, you've got the poor man's cocaine, you've got middle of the road, your generic sort of... And then you've got top shelf. And I says, well, what's the price that he told me? And I'm like, well, I think the top shelf was like £100 or something.
$100 a gram.
Yeah.
£100 a gram.
It was more than a fucking gram. I tell you, I don't know what it was. It took me 2 weeks to get through it, and I had to throw 2/3 of it away. So I said to him, "Oh, get me that and get one for yourself." Right? His dad wasn't happy that I did that.
Oh.
Because he disappeared for a week. He was supposed to turn up for work the next morning, and no one sent him for a week. He was gone, And I'm like, and I said to my cousin, I says, oh fuck, that's my fault. And he goes, why? I says, I bought him a thing, and he went, oh fuck, we're not going to see him. We're not going to see him all week now. That's him gone, And so he gets it literally within 5 minutes. He's on the phone, and then 5 minutes. We go for a walk around the corner, and there's a car there, right? Oh, London gangster stuff, and you get the deal, and he gives... I know, we don't. It's not going to. And then he gets me the little thing, and it's like it's got powder in it, right? And I says, well, it's like you know that Japanese paper folding thing, macrame. Origami. It was like that, right? And so I say, well, what do I do with this? Because I never knew. I never had no idea. He says, oh, you know, you just get a little pinch, bang up your nose, you'll be right as rain. I went, sweet. So we walked back into the pub. Place
He's pouring it into your nose.
The place is pumping. Here's this, right? Place is pumping. So I go straight into the toilet. I go in the cubicle, close, open it up, and it's this. And I just went, fuck. Grabbed another one and did the other nostril, closed it up, and I walked out. And I fucking kid you not, this place was pumping. It wasn't like that.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It wasn't like that 5 minutes earlier. It was pumping, and I walk out.
You try to be a. You try to be an anti-drug advocate here.
I know. But that's what got me hooked.
Yeah, man.
But I was good with that. You know, I mean, it didn't get out of control. I was there for 2 weeks. I used it sporadically. Like I had to 2/3 of it I had to throw away because I couldn't bring it back. Yeah. I wasn't going to dare bring it back.
Nah.
So then when I got here,
no one needs federal fucking up the arse.
So I got back here, sold the house, bought a new house closer to my parents, and rented the rooms out. And that's when the meth came into it, and I was owned by it, and I was just smoking, and then someone introduced me to a needle, and that was me. I was gone.
So that's the line in the sand.
I was
for
gone.
Me.
Well, I tell you what, the needle was just.
You need obviously drugs are bad, but you need to let your body filter it in some way.
Yeah.
Needles there's no filter.
It comes out your skin. And I said that to someone and they didn't believe me.
So
no, it does. The crystals come out your skin. Mm. And people wouldn't believe me.
That's a lot of fucking meth, man.
I was taking a lot of meth. $2,500 a day at its peak. You know? So what would happen is someone didn't believe me, and I says, right, I get some oil, and I rub some oil on my hand and rub it, and all these little black sand granules would come out. That's why people pick when they're on the meth, and on the needle, because it's coming out their pores, and they can feel it.
Another reason is that like sleep deprivation.
That's part of it. Yeah.
No, like 2 days. I'm seeing shit running around my fucking.
Yeah.
Sleep hallucinations.
It does.
You don't actually need meth to do that.
No, you just don't sleep for a couple of days.
I've stayed up just drinking, and had sleep hallucinations just like.
See, I don't know how you can do that with drinking. Drinking would send me because alcohol's a downer.
I didn't take any chemicals except for acid until I was 25.
Right. Okay.
And I would go 3 or 4 days drinking.
Yeah.
No.
You're gonna have to set up a safe zone.
Empty.
Here it is.
You bring the beer or what, cunt?
Get out of my seat.
Fuck you, cunt.
Who?
You don't have a
Not
fucking
me, man.
seat
That's
here,
your
mate.
seat there.
No, it's not.
No,
that's your seat and your mic.
I don't get
You're at the fucking end now.
I don't get downgraded to that.
Look, you got the fucking beer or what? Otherwise you're going to leave.
Fuck off.
He only bought some beers.
Some beers.
That's why. I don't have the luxury of being able to stay.
Not that you need it, though. I mean,
Hey?
Fucking mids!
Yep.
The fuck out.